Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to another new episode of X Vlog Live. I am your host, Mr. BoomStick XL.
My God.
And folks, we hear you now, money. We have an absolutely astounding show for you today. And we have a big guest joining us because there is a hot button topic that seems to have taken over not only the social media aspect of gaming, but Xbox gaming and its players. And that is Xbox Game Pass day one drops versus exclusivity. And Jez Corden, who of course writes for Windows Central and is one half of the Xbox 2 podcast with Rand Althor, did a poll, and it's starting to gain traction, but it's not just Jez that has done this poll. We've seen people with as big, from big medium outlets like Jez Corden and Windows Central to people like myself who just want to, tap the pulse of the gaming community and see what they say about, exclusivity, what it looks like, how it's offered, does that affect Game Pass? And there is, and shout out to Dirk Rickety, who did a pretty damn good video that I watched this morning and had a great conversation on WBG. And it really is a kind of split down the middle when you talk about, Xbox gamers. Some want the exclusivity and at the cost of day and date drops. I'm in the camp that I understand that. I would always pick to have games in Game Pass because, for me, and again, I'll give you my spiel in a second, why, but King David, what's going on, brother? How the heck are you? And we're going to be hanging out in a couple of weeks. Hopefully, I don't get a chance to steal your whip this time around.
Oh, no, definitely not this time. I mean, we stopped after we stopped doing Airbnbs and started staying in local hotels, which was saving us money, so we didn't have to, rent cars. Because I would get whatever speed car I can get out there. I'm going to go
Indeed.
get. So
I'll be in one, baby.
Yeah,
I will be in one.
Yeah, so we can get to steal yours. Oh.
Yes.
I'll be trying to be nice, yo. If you want to write nice,
lend me your keys, air quotes, I say.
But I probably is going to make my way out to Disney World. So nice. I'll probably rent a Cybertruck or something like that.
Okay, nice.
I don't know. I'm trying to figure out some stuff, But yeah, I can't wait. We're right there. Have the big dinner when we get there first. Everybody sit down, get some game plan going. Everybody figure out exactly what they got going on. Look at everybody's schedule. Try to figure out how we can meet up, hook up, and get stuff done. So this is the most productive time of the year. It's like I feel like an elf working in Santa's factory. And this is the time we're gonna make dreams come true, baby. Like we're gonna make sure that we get all that information, get y'all all the great content. I'm so over the moon with I don't want to know stuff, but I want to know stuff, but I want to know stuff at the proper time.
Yeah. No, I mean, I said it last night. I can't specifically say who, what, where. I can tell people that this time around, we were invited to so many things,
bro,
that we had to literally say, I can't attend because.
Yep.
That is how many invites that we got. And there's a lot of, I'm going to be signing a lot of NDAs, which of course, I'll never break, but I am going to be out there and doing things for the channel for the first time. I'm overwhelmed, nervous, excited, all of that, because I want to be out there as a fan, but I also am going to be out there to cover the stuff. And I'm just talking about it has given me goosebumps. And this is the first time in the channel's history that we were invited to a certain thing that is invite only, and it has opened the door for Double Barrel Gaming with everyone else. It's just insane. When we can talk about it, believe you me, I will be thanking certain people publicly for opening the door for us. Because again, we're still a very small channel. We're 98 away from 17K, so we're close. But it's very humbling. And again, we'll be doing the channel 9 years as of November 3rd, And it's been a long road, folks, to get where we are. So that's all thanks to you. But you know what, C-Money? What's up, dude? How the heck are you? Welcome back.
Oh, I'm doing well, man. I'm doing really well. I'm glad to be back, man. Thanks for having me. I know last week I had to cancel at the last second.
That's all right, brother. Listen, life is life, man. As long as you're good, as long as family's good.
Oh man, family's amazing.
Excellent.
We're all very pumped for school to be over soon. get everybody in house, Don't have to go shuttle people around and stuff, and just have a good time this summer. This summer's gonna be awesome. It's gonna be a great summer.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. Yeah, it's definitely gonna be something. So listen, chat panel, let's just get right into topic number one. Now, yesterday levied a bunch of new big hires for Xbox via the new leadership known as Asha Sharma. And thanks to Shinobi 602, and a lot of people posted it, but I have his in front of me. So, of course, I want to give Shinobi credit where credit is due. He basically broke down the what this Xbox expanded leadership looks like and who it is. So Matthew Ball, that name may ring a bell or it may not. He's a former Amazon Studios and industry analyst. He joins as Chief Strategy Officer, or CSO, for Xbox. We have a quote from him. We also have Scott Valet, who is former Azure OpenAI and AI Core. He has joined as the Chief Technology Officer, or CTO, for Xbox. Now, what's interesting is, well, what they had to say. So we'll start first with what Scott had to say on Twitter. He wrote this, ladies and gentlemen: stoked to share that I'm joining Xbox team as CTO. I've been a gamer all of my life, an Xbox fan since day one, so it's a dream to help build what comes next. Thanks for the opportunity to help create the future of play, Asha. Let's get to work. Now, that's a pretty big, I think, in my opinion, statement from Scott. But we also have here one that I just pulled, and it is simplistic in what he said. But it's, Mrs. Boom always tells me, and she uses this pretty much for everything, it's not what you say, it's actually how you say it. And Matthew Ball, who is pretty storied in his career, simply says on Twitter in all caps, "Return of Xbox." Again, I think that it might be simplistic in how it's set up, but it's a powerful statement, because I think that the return of Xbox should be at the crux of the conversation moving forward. Again, no one is ever going to take anything away from both, former leaderships, but change needed to happen, because I think it's safe to admit and politely admit that things weren't working out. Things did not go the way they were planned, because the original plan was to have someone as talented as Sarah Bond, who I think is absolutely incredible, take over for Phil Spencer. And I always believed that Phil would be here until the launch of Helix. But that didn't happen. Now, you can get into the why and who's to blame, but we're not going to do that here, because I don't know who's actually to blame. Things were done, and it's safe to say that before we started to see this new change with Xbox, and now I think Asha's in 87 or 88 days in that position, there's been a sweeping change in leadership. There has been a sweeping change in ideology. And more than anything, there has been a resurgence, ladies and gentlemen, of electricity for who? Us, the Xbots, the fans, right? There's something happening that every day that I do a podcast, my DMs are flooded with new information from this place and that place, and everyone, and I mean everyone, is talking about Xbox. Well, you know who made a mention that I think that is worth reading his tweet? that's something that comes the way of, let me see, where is it? I had Tim Sweeney's quote here, and he goes on to say this. Now, if you don't know who Tim Sweeney is, I don't know what to tell you, but he's, the head dude over at Epic Games. He goes on to say, Matthew Ball, author of the famous 2020 essay and later book on the evolution of gaming towards the metaverse, has joined Microsoft as the Chief Strategy Officer for gaming. Now, here's an interesting quote from Tim. He goes on to say this: that's quite a world-class team being assembled and foreshadows serious dedication to the future of gaming for Windows, Xbox, Minecraft, Call of Duty, and the many world-class studios in the Microsoft family. And Asha Sharma has responded, ladies and gentlemen, and she simply says, thanks, Tim. Excited to see the team come together at such a consequential time for all of us. Again, folks, big moves to fix what I honestly believe is a broken brand. Now, I've said this last night. I've said it many times before. Xbox, there's a shift, and it's very easy to see, especially when you do what me and C Money and King David and a lot of the content creators that you watch, and love do on a regular basis. We read the news, we get the feelers out there, we talk to the people, some things that we can talk about, some things that we can't, but we always bring forward this opinion, and not only just our opinions on Xbox, but we bring forward what the pulse of the community is saying and feeling. And what I've been saying for the last couple of weeks, I'd damn say 8 or 9 weeks for that matter, since Asha has taken over, is the right things are being said, the right things are being done, and it could be as simple as getting a dynamic background made into a new launch screen for the Series X and S. It could be something as simple as, being able to disable a certain function for, quick resume that, is really doesn't work well with something like Call of Duty. These little things continue to pile up, King David. And what I want to do is get your thoughts on this new pair of additions. And it does seem like the leadership team that is being put together by Asha Sharma is being set up to do what? Succeed. And there's some really powerful names that took some pretty big positions. I want to get your thoughts on this, dude.
Well, I believe that she's a strategist. And I think she looks at stuff analytically, like she looks at the data. So what she does is she goes out and gets somebody that studies the data of the industry from top to bottom and has studied it for more than a couple of decades. And getting that information to pair it up against wherever the pain points is in the philosophies over at Xbox, the strategies over at Xbox, the delivery system, the consoles, everything from stabilizing Generation 9, like she said, was a priority. Where does that start? What does that look like? I believe that her taking the time out to go over the very small things, like even the Xbox name. I know some people may look at that and say, well, that was unnecessary. Y'all are getting happy by something like this. Well, it's the small things that matter. If you go and you buy your significant other flowers, the card, a little chocolate, set a mood. You start to be thoughtful. It's the little things that go to it. And when you start taking care of the little things, the bigger picture starts to come out. You start seeing stuff like Boom added the boot up. She wants to do all the little things to shore up the big things. FanFest is back. Games shipping on time. No, you didn't. We haven't heard any studio closures. A big outlook on what the dynamic is of Helix. Being very forward facing with the public while also being very clear with the journalists what they will tolerate, what they won't tolerate. They won't tolerate misinformation. They won't tolerate misdirection by anybody, foreign or domestic. It doesn't matter. If you're Christopher Drain or if you're Jez, you're going to get the same smoke because she's going to make sure that her message is clear. I don't believe the brand is broken. I believe the brand is tarnished. And the perception was that they stopped listening to Phil, and Sarah. Because at the end of the day, a house divided is not a house united. And there was a lot of people inside the building that weren't for a lot of the stuff that was going on. You can only turn up so many failed quarters financially before people look over and say, well, listen, the stuff that you're doing is jeopardizing my job, not your job. And that's when it starts to get the louder. So you got to have the people next to you willing to fight with you. And it seems like she has enough people willing to give her a chance and willing to fight with her, but building out her cabinet to succeed. All the people that she brought in are people that she trusts, and people that she trusts recommended. So she understands where the brand needs to go in order to be successful. Now, as far as the Game Pass stuff, we'll get into that a little bit later.
Yes.
About the other moves that she's about to do. But placing good people, because they haven't done anything yet. So I can't sit there and critique anything that they've done based upon what their track record is. So, but Boom knows this as an officer, former police officer. Past deeds are indicative of future performance, right? So it's called your MO.
Yes.
All right. So if you establish the MO as a strategic person that finds a way to win, and you've done it successfully for over 2 decades, well, then the odds is you're going to find a way to win here. If your MO is to find the pain points in a brand or a company and work those pain points out by highlighting them and changing them, well, then it stands to reason that you'll do the same thing here. So aligning herself with the right people, taking proper measures, and she seems to be well liked by the community so far. Hasn't been any rakes that she stepped on, and accepting the faults of the previous administration that was there. She's on to a good run so far. We'll see what everything looks like by the end of this year. But so far this year, she's still running on the fumes of Phil and Sarah. So at the end of the day, I can't truly say, yo, she's knocking it out the park. But what she's doing is she's not crashing the car. And that's what I'm asking for. Don't crash the car, because the whip is a good whip. It's a good whip. It's a nice whip. And we got good packages that we need to get delivered. Just stay the course. And then when you can implement what you want to implement, you want to put your stamp on it, then do so. But so far, so good.
I absolutely agree. Now, C-Money, before I bring you in, thanks to Hazardor Gaming, we have a quote here from CSO Matthew Ball. And this quote comes from a paywalled Bloomberg article. So I don't have access to it because I don't pay for it. But thanks to Hazardor Gaming, we do have Matthew Ball's quote here. And according to this interview at Bloomberg, Matthew Ball goes on to say his focus will be, quote, reviving storied franchises and strengthening Xbox's console business. And you know why that's important? Because for what seemed like a couple of years, Xbox consoles were not important. And whether that was because they stopped making them and putting them on shelves, or it was different things like this is an Xbox. And I've said this before, I understood that. So it wasn't like I was confused, but people apparently were. And, obviously for many, many quarters, I think it goes far as maybe 8 or 9 quarters, there were losses in hardware. Now, how you get to your audience in traditional console gaming and marketing is through hardware. And I do like that we're getting a lot of conversation, especially from leaders, meaning, like, of course, the newly hired Matthew Ball, as well as Asha Sharma herself. She has literally said that one of her main focuses is to get people to understand how great the series consoles are. And she is going to do that. And how she started doing that was getting updates that seemed to go undone for years. And I've said this before, Larry Herb, Mr. Xbot himself, had requested a specific thing that did not get done. And mind you, he hasn't been with the company for years until Asha took over. So it's those kind of moves, bringing new updates to a console that, listen, I will say this definitively. Don't let social media tell you that the series consoles aren't worth their weight in gold, because that's a lie. They are phenomenal consoles, and they are now getting bi-weekly updates. But you know what? Let me just, circle the wagon, so to speak, see, and bring you in. New leadership, as powerful as what we've seen so far, tells me that Xbox is serious. I mean, straight up dead serious about fixing the many problems that the platform has. Right now, the fan base itself is a bit fractured, but she does, and when I say she, Asha Sharma continues to do and say things that are getting people unified and excited and proud about the brand. And that is her skill set. I want to get your thoughts on these new hires, see.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's clear they made some big changes once she came on board. And she is setting up her team, right? She is getting together a group of people who are aligned and who are going to go ahead and add their, expertise. The one thing I loved, and I said this way back when she was first hired, was that she was very confident when she spoke, but when asked a question that she did not feel confident in, she went ahead and passed it to the person who was confident in doing so, right? So she understands her limits, and she, just like King said, right, is bringing some, people in with decades of expertise, right? So that she can bounce these things off of, and things can kind of go in a direction, assuming, knowing that she is going to be the final person to make any and all decisions. But this is what she wants. She wants to be surrounded by people who know more than she does in all the other topics, right? That's what a good leader does, right? I don't need to know how to do the job that my business is for. I need to have hired people who know how to do the job that my business is for, right? And that's how you do it, right? That's how you make money. That's how you survive, right? So she's smart, right? But she's combining that all with the ground truth of the Xbox community, right? And I think that's the key difference, right? I think what used to happen is, used to have a Phil in the building, right? And he was a core Xbox player or core Xbox fan. He was a man of the people, right? But he was strong-armed with the way his position was given to him, the situation he was in when he got there. And then they basically, took him and put him in a position where he really couldn't dig deep with the community the same way anymore. And the one thing Asha let us know was that all this stuff was all just a bunch of meetings, right? There's all meetings in the background where they were deciding what to do without real player feedback and just looking at numbers, right? Whereas now they're going to mix that, right? Asha came out and she made sure that she has shown us that she is listening to the conversation. And honestly, the fact that she has this group being built around her, obviously we have these two new hires, but she did just hire some other people not too long ago, right? This is a full squad that is coming together. And frankly, I'm excited for what Xbox will be, aside from the rumors and the stuff that we're going to talk about with the other side of things. But just as a gamer, just as a fan of gaming and Xbox gaming and gaming in general, Xbox has been leading the way for years. Xbox makes the games I love to play. And they seem like they won't stop doing that. And they're going to go ahead and make it on the boxes that I love to play on, right? And that's really all we can ask for from a humongous company like Microsoft and Xbox, right? They're delivering in a lot of different ways, and now we're going to see how the team delivers. I'm interested to see how they deliver it to us as well, because Asha has made it her point to come out here and stamp everything that she's done, right? Everything that she has come out and done, she stamps it. She announces it. She puts out the Twitter posts. She's not quote tweeting people. She's not replying. She comes out and does the messaging, right? I found it curious that when the player voice site went up, she had nothing to do with it. She did not put her stamp on that. She did not go out there and put that message out. She didn't say, hey, we're listening, go here. She did not. She delegated that, right? That was Jason Ronald who came out here. He was the face.
Yes.
Who went ahead and announced that, right? So I think she's also making it very clear that she doesn't want to be just the talking head of Xbox or Microsoft. She wants it so that when she shows up, you're listening, because what she's going to say is going to have impact and is going to matter. It's not an idea for the future, but for what's going to be happening now. And I love that. I love that about what Asha's doing. I think she was amazing for the brand. Now, again, talking about Asha is difficult not to talk about the big, decision that's going to be coming up. And I'll save that for when we talk about, the next topic. But aside from that monumental moment that she now has to kind of, face, everything else that she's doing and talking about and bringing to fruition, because this is not those other people are new, but in 90 days, I don't even know how long she's been
Yeah,
here
it's just
now.
a pinch under 90 days, actually. It's like
Yeah, so
88 something days or something to that effect.
I don't remember a 90-day stretch when so much was done. So much was accomplished that was like for us, like, what I'm saying, like for the players.
Yeah.
Right. Because I know there's a lot of people who forget their place in all of this, right?
Mm-hmm.
They think that they're collecting the check at the end of the quarter when Microsoft sells consoles. They forget that their only part in this entire thing and the only worth and value they have in this entire thing is on this side of the screen with the controller in hand and what you're playing and what you're paying. Only two things: what you're playing, what you're paying. Only two parts that you have in this at all. Everything else doesn't matter what you think or feel. This is the reality of what it is. But yes, overall, Asha's killing it. I love that she's building her squad. I'm interested to see. We don't know these people. We don't know how they're going to be. We don't know what they're going to do. We don't know how Asha's going to let them be. Like, are they going to come out and start, is everyone going to be stamping their stuff? You know what I'm saying? Are these new hires individually going to be like, hey, this is what I did. Bam, check this out. This is for you guys. Or is Asha going to be like, yo, run that, put that on my desk. Hey, guys, this is what I've done, right? We don't know. We'll see. But I'm excited either way, man. Xbox is in the best place it's ever been. And outside of the noise and the rumors and the crying, Xbox can't stop, won't stop, man. That's where we're at. That's where we're at. So,
well, look, I will say, first of all, amazing pair of points from both King David and C Money. This is how you start a show. This is how you have excellent discourse with not only podcasters on a panel, but with the gaming community and the chat that's here now. The one thing that almost seems very apparent with Asha and how she does things is, yes, she is the acting CEO of Xbox, right? But she consistently uses the word team. And I think it's apparent that the people that she is surrounding herself with are not only familiar because she's worked with a lot of them, but they're experts in their fields. And some of the things that we've heard about bringing back the importance of hardware, consoles, bringing back the importance of the name of the brand. That was done, and King had said it in his segment, what the simple capital Xbox means versus what it was, just Xbox. And I'm not being facetious, and I know that King even said it. There are a lot of people like, why are you cheering this on? Well, because one, we're Xbox, which is fine. And two, when you say Xbox and then you say Xbox, you are pronouncing it in a forceful manner. That's what the capitals mean. It means, look at me. I'm important.
It's an entity. It's
yes.
a thing, not just a word, right? It's a thing, right? That's why Sega, after all these years, still is all caps Segas. And people have the audacity to think they're clever and say something like, oh, what is the acronym for, right? What do they mean? What does each letter mean? Come on, dog.
It's just Xbox, man, but it's a powerful statement.
It's a beast.
Yes.
It is the best box on the market, hands down. No one touches it. That's the answer. So yes, it deserves to be all caps. Absolutely.
I and again, you know, I said this quite a few times. I've even used, you know, talking about Asha in general, is that it does seem to me that she is bringing the brand back to the Xbox 360 attitude era. That's what it seems like to me. Now, could I be wrong? Sure. But the way that she's been moving and the way that the team has been moving with doing different things, it does seem like the importance of Xbox in gaming, not being satisfied with being in third place, is why they're making all these changes. I think they are bringing competition back to the industry. You know, there's been mention of misinformation that has been out there. And what is one of the things that we see immediately? Shutting that stuff down. I mean, and any one of the bigs at Microsoft, whether that be Stein on the socials, whether that be Jason Ronald himself, whether that be Asha herself, they are chopping down the negative narratives that used to just fester and have and gain a life of their own. Listen, I like that. Don't let them besmirch your brand. Get out there and fight for it, and that is what they are doing. Now, what I'd like to do, gentlemen, if it's okay, let me catch up on Super Chats, and then we're going to get into the second big topic. Now, we have 3 Super Chats here, and the first one comes from Jack Steele. So, Jack, thank you so much for the very generous $10 Super Chat. And Jack Steele goes on to say, I say take away first-party day one Game Pass games, but continue to make third-party day one deals on games to hopefully help bring back exclusives. I mean, you're gonna get into it, Jack. I have some thought and theories, and I think there is a way where you can have your cake and eat it too with Xbox Game Pass exclusives, and more specifically, keeping Xbox Game Pass. Adidas 20, the homie. What's up, brother? Salute to you and the fam. He says this. Salute Dr. Pepper, 98% right, and Olive Man bots. After dropping a very generous $2 salute. Thank you so much for that, brother. It's Me the Broke Boy drops an outstanding $2 super chat. And this is crazy, folks. I saw that someone post this and I wasn't sure if it was real. Well, It's Me the Broke Boy has confirmed it. QVC's website.
The truck, bro. They went ahead, they jacked the truck, and they're like, we got these cheap copies.
Listen, according to many stories, and It's Me the Broke Boy, the QVC website currently has Forza Horizon 6 for $37. Go buy that game, ladies and gentlemen, which is just ridiculous. Eternal Shaddai has become a new channel member. Brother, that's very kind of you. Thank you so much for the channel support, Mrs. Boom, and I do greatly appreciate it. So what I'd like to do, chat and panel is I definitely want to move on to topic number 2. Now, listen, this is the main conversation of today as it's been advertised here, there, and everywhere. And one of the biggest conversations that continue to have a lot of push and pull is this particular tweet from Jez Corden of Windows Central. And I have his official Twitter account in front of me. And it basically says, and it's again simplistic in nature, but very weighted in its response and its importance. Jez Corden goes on to ask, if you had to choose, what would you rather have on Xbox? Console exclusive games or day one on Xbox Game Pass? Now, so far, it's been viewed 144,000 times. It has 440 replies, 433 likes, 127 retweets, and 37 quotes.
How many people voted?
Okay, yes, we're going to get to that right now. Now, it's a little low, at least for Jez, but it does have 5 days left. And there are currently 1,488 votes, again, with 5 days left.
So that's the problem with it, is that people don't see that 142,000 people saw that post and said, nah, fam, I'm not going to press a button. I don't care. 142,000 people scrolled past his tweets about exclusives and said, nah, fam, I don't care. But they're going to tell me that, oh no, it is the most important. Oh my God. Sorry, fam.
No, well, you know what? Let's bring something up for context. Now, what C-Money is referring to is what might be considered the minority loud Xbox fans.
I don't even know if the word minority, I feel like minority has like a threshold. Like you have to be at least a certain amount to be considered a minority. I think what you guys are just like a ragtag group of
I don't actually think so.
To make something happen, yo.
Well, you know what? Yeah, I'm a stats guy, right? I'm a stats kind of a guy.
The numbers don't lie.
Yeah, and you know what? I'm going to use that not against you per se, but just for context. So something happened earlier. It was either late last week or earlier this week, where Xbox has this new player voice website, and this player voice website. We saw Jason Ronald talking about it, and he encouraged the Xbox community as a whole, regardless of how much your gamer score was or how long you've been playing on Xbox or how long you've been a fan, that if you had an opinion that you wanted to have voiced, this was the website to do it. And of course, I want to go to our guest first, King David, number one of the top 20 most voted and requested by Xbox players. And why this is important is because you have to have a Microsoft account and you have to sign in. So the top 3, and again, it's 20, and I don't want to read all 20 because this is a podcast. So I'll add it in the video so you can take a look for yourself. But the top 3 are actually being voted upon by people that have a stake in why this is being polled. And number 1 was the return of exclusive games to Xbox. Now, I don't specifically have how many voted, whether that could be...
Click the button, and it'll tell you how many upvotes are right there, because we already talked about it on my show. So we can go ahead and have King David have all the information.
I'm at a post, so I'm not actually at the website. If you can find that website, so that'd be great.
If you go to the website, hold on. Bookmarks. Oh,
I'm gonna see if I can find it right now. Here we go.
yeah, I was just talking about it on this show on Tuesday.
All right, so let's see.
Man, I bookmark a lot of stuff. Holy
yeah,
crap.
well, I'm here at the actual Xbox player voice now. All right, so I do have it in front of me. Okay, so I do have the numbers, King David. So you're not going into this blind. On the official Xbox player voice website, the number one most upvoted request is the return of exclusive content. And that vote is at 13,500 in total, followed by at 10,700, make online multiplayer free to access, and really, really close. And this, they've already switched 2 times at 10,500, King, backwards compatible games making a return. So the question now goes to King David. How do they walk this razor's edge? Now, before I hand you the mic, King, I kind of want to just give my spiel out there and just throw this out for everyone to hear. I actually think that they can do both. And we know when we were talking in the green room, I had made mention of you being a businessman. So you understand what short-term loss versus long-term gain actually means. And some might say, well, Microsoft is numbers driven and they won't take any losses. Well, my counter to that is what they were doing before that got the brand on one knee, in my opinion, they cannot do moving forward. This is why we have new leadership. New leadership in Asha Sharma and her newly formed team that continues to grow with her understand that what was being done before weakened the brand to the point where if you're in certain circles, they look at Xbox in 4th place behind PlayStation, Nintendo, and PC. Now, if you're just talking about the big 3, they are still at the bottom, and they have a lot of work to do ahead of them. I've called Asha's tasks daunting because I wouldn't know where to start. But where I can say, me personally love Xbox Game Pass, and as a retiree, it is important to me because I buy more games than I've ever bought before having Xbox Game Pass, because there are certain games that don't get in there, like let's say Lego Batman or 007. I bought both those games. Now, I wouldn't want to have to buy every game, and I don't know if exclusivity might be worth that to some or not. But what I can say is Microsoft has an opportunity to really take this and run with it, and exclusivity and Xbox Game Pass can in fact coexist at the same time. And you may be saying, well, how could that be? They're going to lose money. Well, here's the thing. When you can get actual marketing ideology, like actual people that know what they're doing when it comes to marketing, not what they've done. And I'm going to say this. Look, I have no problem, laying down the smoke for Xbox when it's necessary, and right now it is. Their messaging and marketing has been nothing short of piss poor and egregious for years. Their marketing has been confusing. The left hand did not know what the right hand is doing. And I'm a bot, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not afraid to say that. And they seem to now be putting people in place that are going to get a unified message across the board. And when I say short-term loss versus long-term gain, you might not be, you might be saying, well, what exactly does that mean? Are they going to lose money? Well, I will say this. If you want to get people to buy your console, you're going to have to give them a reason to do that. Putting your biggest games on your competitor's platform is not the way it works. And I can tell you why that didn't work. The numbers. 15 games went over, 3 are the stars, and that is it. You take away the 3 top sellers, and it's a complete flop. And I'm a numbers-driven dude, and I'm sure Xbox is as well. So if you want to sell your hardware, you got to make an effort to say, hey, you want to play Gears of War E-Day, this banger, you're going to play it here. And why they have an advantage over Sony, and not to bring them in because they're not really part of the conversation, is the move that they did, according to Jason Schreier, that they have officially pulled away from putting their games on PC. Well, Xbox hasn't and won't do that. So they're going to have the PC audience. But King, I want to get your thoughts on the big conversation in the gaming, or more so the Xbox community. Xbox Game Pass day one versus Xbox exclusives. Can they coexist? Oh, you're on mute, brother.
Sorry. I can't trust the Twitter poll at all. For the simple fact it's open
It's a Twitter
to
poll.
yeah, well, it's open to everyone. No verification, bot, and all type of stupidness. So I tend to laugh at, high numbers when it comes to certain engagements on Twitter. But the true numbers that I can see by people that actually matter is on the Xbox player voice. And that's exactly why it was made. It was made for the core audience. It was made for people that actually are inside the ecosystem to get a better grasp on what they're looking for and how they can better serve them. Also, this serves as a measuring stick for conversations or debate, because they do table debates when they present certain drastic changes or changes in general. So I think this bolsters Asha's case, because we heard about exclusivities being back on the table way before this player voice stuff has went up. We heard exclusivities was being bantered about, and how would they achieve this. That's the reason why you bring in strategists. That's why you bring in market analysts to tell you why Game Pass is failing and how to keep it successful, while also at the same time getting exclusivity back into your ecosystem. Now, if that is to remove day and date from the box, it doesn't remove day and date getting titles from third parties, signing these third party deals, freeing up first party titles out of day and date, and them showing up 6 months to 8 months after they launch to your ecosystem. That frees up that ability to go out and get exclusive deals, make more mergers, make more acquisitions. So it's a monkey's paw type of thing. If you're on the side that I'm on, with I want PlayStation to have nothing, I want them to starve out and die, then exclusivity is exactly what you're looking for, because they can't do that if you continue to feed them.
Yes.
If you continue to feed them games where they have to struggle to fight you to get third party deals, if there's an even playing field, and you're able to offer them a bag, the Game Pass, however you structure it, and PlayStation only has to offer their fan base, which don't really buy games, because we've seen the metrics of it. 15 games went over, and if three of those games is successful, then you're not getting a good average. It's not cost effective. So at the end of the day, that's a failed project. Anybody with any weight and salt over at Microsoft and Xbox can look at it and say, nah, it did not work. We sent over 15 and only 3 were successful. That's not making your return off investment. So you got to look at other aspects and other avenues to make more money. I think multiplayer games on the competitor's platform actually makes sense. If it is pulling back day and date from Game Pass as far as all of your titles, and bringing them 6 to 8 months. Yeah, great. But with that being said, with the pursuit of third party games and indie games going day and date inside Game Pass, then good. I'm for that, and as long as exclusivity is trailing with that, Game Pass didn't do what it was intended to do. It was intended to get to 100 million by this time, and that's a failed project if you look at it by the metrics. They wanted the pandemic to last longer. It didn't. They wanted us to be shut down a little bit longer, but it hasn't. So now you have to deal with the reality of what everything is. And barring another pandemic where people are locked down inside of their house, you can't wait on that. So you have to be proactive, making things viable. If you want a healthy brand, you're going to have to start, putting some skin in the game and giving up some stuff. Game Pass was good while it lasted, the way it lasted, but there needs to be changes. And, people said that Call of Duty was going to be the forebearer of the Doom, kind of like the Just 4 games. And I kind of understand it. I understand it in the sense that if we want them to be more competitive, we want them to be more proactive in getting these third-party deals, locking down stuff, and forcing PlayStation to play by the same rules that they're forcing Xbox to play by. This is inevitable in a sense. So I'm just taking a look-see approach when it comes to all of this stuff. Because at the end of the day, you can't react if we like C said, we don't have any direct control other than what we purchase and play. Right? So
fair point.
We're on this side of the fence on purchase and play. From that point, if they look and they see we're making more money with our first party titles by pulling them off Game Pass and putting it on Game Pass 6 to 8 months, and Game Pass goes up to get these exclusive deals. Let's say you start locking in Silent Hills and all of these other games. Let's say you get Virtual Fighters, the new one that just leaked online. You start locking in these big titles from these third parties. Let's say you would have got a Capcom Requiem because you had the cash to do so. I think we'll start to look at things differently. We got to see how it operates first. So my thing has always been with her, take a look-see approach. Don't condemn until we see results. And if it fails, then you got to retool and get right back into the mix. But it's cool with seeing where they're going and what they're talking about. So,
well, look, Project Latitude was expected to levy a significant amount of monies for Xbox by putting their games on a competitor's platform. They put a couple with Nintendo. They put a significant amount on PlayStation, and the monies that were levied did not seem like the juice was worth the squeeze, so to speak. Now, I've said again, I've just finished saying it, folks. I like Game Pass because I'm a retiree, and I don't have to buy their first party games. I buy all of the, when I don't get every game for review. Just let's be clear about that. I got Forza Horizon 6, yes, but I don't get every game. So a lot of the times I'm, playing through Game Pass like you, and that's perfectly fine. And if there is a digital upgrade for $20 or $30, I go out and I get it because I'm getting the full game for that $30. So I find it to be valuable. But here's the thing. The brand is damaged, ladies and gentlemen, and Project Latitude damaged the brand. And I don't want to say I honestly don't think that it's damaged beyond repair, because that repair is happening boots on ground right now with Asha and her new leadership team. They're trying to figure out how to make the Xbox brand a brand that people want to play on, and how they can do that is having bangers like this. As a matter of fact, on last night's live stream, someone dropped a super chat in and said that he had 2 casual PlayStation gamer friends that saw Forza Horizon 6 And both of them, casuals, went out and bought Xbox Series consoles because they thought that Xbox was going to go back to exclusivity and they did not want to take a chance. Now, again, I understand that's just two. But
that's interesting that they're casuals, but they know about Xbox being multi-plat and all this fun stuff.
Well, that's probably because they're talking. But see, that's the reason why the hardcore are important, and that's why they're circling the wagons with the hardcore, because the hardcore not only talk, but we talk to everyone, and you can get people who are casuals involved by hearing you talk. When you're excited about something. Look, let me just.
And is he referring to pony just because they own a? Because I don't know how you could be a casual pony. Like
well, you could be a PlayStation player, though. Yeah, you could be just a PlayStation
player. You own a PlayStation, but those people they're not a problem. They're not ponies. Owning a PlayStation doesn't make you a pony.
No, they're not ponies. They're PlayStation players, which are perfectly fine. That's their system of choice. Real quick, walk with me on this, folks.
I'm walking.
Let's just take the big playing field, and I'm going to bring up again. This is walk with me because this is the whole point of where I'm going to give the mic over to C Money. I'm going to name one entity that has significant IP that has been damaged to the point of big trouble. Disney. They own Marvel and they own Star Wars. And they have damaged the brand to the point where they are sinking an unbelievable amount of money for specifically Doomsday at the end of this year. And that is expected to be the biggest movie since Endgame. And they are banking big on that because the brand is damaged. Star Wars hasn't had a film in theaters until this week's The Mandalorian and Grogu. And they really are the results that they're expecting from the trades isn't really a lot. And, you know, depending on who you listen to, I saw one report, 40 to 70 million. That's egregious. I saw another one that was 70 to 100 million. That's domestic. I don't know what's going to happen outside. It's probably going to make even more because we know how Star Wars does, but it's also a damaged brand. And I know that the film and TV and Star Wars and Marvel are different than Xbox, but they're really not because they're big brands, and Xbox's big brand is broken. And it's broken because they took some of their biggest IP and announced it for their competitor. And why this is still a head scratcher to me is because Sony themselves did a couple of things. Besides botching over a dozen gas games, which almost all of them were canceled, and some that are currently being worked on will be canceled, right? It's safe to say that Marathon has flopped, because it has. It's safe to say that they have already told us and the games media that because of budget restraints, they will be releasing one AAA game per year. They also telegraphed that they are no longer launching on PC. So what is the disadvantage here for PlayStation? Well, they're not going to have next-gen hardware for at least the next couple of years. Their service and hardware just saw a massive increase. They have no first-party roadmap, and their last couple of first-party games that they released are not hitting. Soros being one of them. Consider and you got to consider it's selling worse, 48% worse than Returnal did, right? And a highly regarded game, no one cares. Well, Xbox is on a different trajectory. They have hardware that is relevant, hardware that not only has a Series S, which is the most affordable entry into next gen, but they also have a partnered pair of handhelds. Okay, they have a service that just went down $7 when PlayStation just raised theirs the other day. Xbox Game Pass is still a very important part. How much of that's going to be moving forward, we'll have to see how things play out. But they have also an unbelievable launch lineup roadmap for 26, but that roadmap extends all the way out until 2028. And we know next year they're going to have new hardware in Project Helix. They have all of the cards. Now, if you bring exclusivity back into the conversation and you tell gamers that look, let me just say this, and I'm going to give you the mic. A specific mic drop moment that could happen in June. And this is how I would roll it. Okay. If Asha would have come out and said, we're really happy with how Forza Horizon 6 was rated, how many people are playing it. Thank you so much, community. And, she can come out and, make it a very business-like way of saying it. We have, because people are going to ask, well, when is Forza Horizon 6 coming to PlayStation? My simple answer, or her simple answer, should be, we have reevaluated what exclusivity means to our platform, and Forza Horizon 6 has been canceled for PlayStation 5 indefinitely, and drop the mic and walk the F off. That is how you handle it. And what that does is not only send the media into an absolute frenzy, it makes people look at this game and be like, holy shit, this is not coming to PlayStation 5. I need an Xbox. And on top of that whole spiel that I just gave you, why Xbox is in the best position of the three for next gen right now is because close to 60 million gamers are going to be upgrading at one point or another from PlayStation 4 and Pro hardware and Series X, Xbox One and S and X hardware to play Grand Theft Auto. And the cheapest entry point into next gen right now is at $399 for the S. If Xbox has any idea what they're doing, and I believe that they do, they would drop it $50 and they would set, I'm telling you, I don't have a business degree, but what I have is common sense. And that would get people in the door. Again, short-term loss for taking a hit on the $50 price, decrease, and not raising or doing anything with Game Pass. Yes, it would be short-term loss, but long-term gain because you would get new customers into your ecosystem, and that is how they would grow Xbox Game Pass. Because listen, you can go find it yourself. There is a report out there that Gen Z are not buying games, and we know that it's fact. They are playing on services. They are playing on services like Xbox Game Pass. But listen, C-Money, I want to get your thoughts on what you think about taking day one games away versus Xbox Game Pass exclusivity.
All right. Listen, I understand everything that you said. I do push back on the idea that dropping at $50 would change anything for somebody who's looking to get into the next generation console, because they are already the cheapest option. So dropping at $50 doesn't, somebody who's saying, I want a next gen console, if they're looking for the cheapest way to do it, it's going to be the Series S anyway, regardless of dropping $50 or not. So I don't think that really matters outside of them losing money. But this whole conversation, so this conversation has evolved, right? It has evolved. The initial conversation, and I think a lot of people got feel a certain type of way about what I think on it, is about exclusives. Now, I was clear since day one that I don't care about exclusives. I also don't care if you care about exclusives. Not you personally, Boom, people, anybody listening, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I don't care if you care about exclusive. That doesn't matter to me. It doesn't mean anything to me. Whether the game's exclusive or not exclusive, I still get the game, right? So it doesn't matter to me. Now, my argument since day one has been this Xbox needs exclusives. That is false. That is false. Factually false. They don't need it. You know why it's factually false? I could tell you why. Because the numbers don't lie. They are in the green, right? They make money. They are not losing money. They make money. They are profitable as a business, as an entity. Everything they're doing makes money. That defines whether or not you are in some dire situation or not. Okay. Making less money than you did last year overall doesn't mean you're losing money. It means you didn't make as much money. Understand? Money wasn't taken away from them. They lost nothing in this scenario. They just didn't make as much as they did last year. And when you have a game like Black Ops 6 that we all know was last year's game that was crushing the world with its numbers, that is going to skew everything for Xbox. One of the things we did find out, content and services went down, right? What did we find out? Well, guess what? A ton of people subscribed for Call of Duty Black Ops 6. And then a ton of people unsubscribed for after they were done playing Black Ops 6. These are the things that make your numbers look so bad, okay? But aside from that, I don't care. I said it from the beginning. If you hear what I say, or if you've seen my channel, I said it all the way up into this recent scenario. I said it the same way. I don't care if they do exclusives or not, as long as they don't touch my Game Pass. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Since I do not, it doesn't matter to me. I am a gamer first. I have some tweets to respond to, okay, that are still waiting. I just been busy. But understand, Xbox doesn't own me. Xbox writes me no checks. Do they hook a brother up? Yes. I've been loyal since day one, 2001, buying that console and never getting off of it. Do they hook me up? Do I have a channel that bigs up Xbox because I genuinely love Xbox for the last 25 years? Yes. Have we made a channel that they went ahead and they give us games? Yes, they do all that stuff, right? Fundamentally speaking, if they took all the games away from Game Pass, King David, myself, and Boom, if we wanted to, we could still get every first party game el gratis, right? We are not going to be affected if they do that. Understand, right? Now, I'm not going to get 3 copies, so my other 2 subscriptions to Game Pass will get jacked up, right? But let's be clear. Me personally, if this were to happen, I could get the games. King David knows 100% that he can get the games. Boom knows he can get the games, right? So it changes the narrative, right? How we feel is different because we really know on the back of our minds that we're not screwed. We're not affected. Y'all screwed. You guys effed, right? You're done, right? You're going to be buying every single game. Me, not going to happen, right? That's just the reality of what it is. So that being said, like I said, since day one, I said, do what you want. I don't care. It doesn't bother me if the game's exclusive or not. I think it's dumb. As a businessman, I think it's the dumbest thing that they can do because although everybody wants to say Project Latitude was a failure, as a business owner, money coming in that I did not have is not a failure. It's not a failure. When you have Forza Horizon 5 that would never have gone over there if it wasn't for Project Latitude, you can't look at Project Latitude and make it believe that Project Latitude was designed for every single game to do crazy numbers. You are false. And anybody who says that is false, because if it was that, then it wouldn't be called a Project Latitude where they're spreading everything out. They would be calling it Every Game Better Succeed or We Out. That's not what this was. Okay. Every game does not have to do that. Any game that is put out is held with the other games rising. So rising tides, right? Lifts all ships, right? Okay, cool. So if Forza Horizon 5 goes over there and kills it because of Project Latitude, then I'm sorry. I'm sorry. It is a success. Now, that being said, I know the fun thing to talk about is that's why they changed the leadership, right? Leadership got changed. So that must mean they were dying. No, I don't think that at all, because again, the numbers don't show that, right? You guys tend to forget that just because you had less consoles sold doesn't mean more consoles were sold every single month, which means, contrary to popular belief, people still choose to buy the Xbox with the games going everywhere without even thinking about it. Look, again, I said it. Don't touch Game Pass. I'm good. This is the problem. Everybody wants to go ahead and say, these are just rumors, right? Just rumors. Hey, I get it. I was there. Rewind the tape. I went at all of them. My boy Paris, we got into it, right? I went at all of them. Ain't no one gonna stop me. No one is going to stop me from believing what I believe unless you can prove to me that it makes sense. Okay. So I did what you guys are doing right now. I was like, look at these people. Jez, what a clown. What a clown. Poor Jez. I'm sorry, bro. I'm sorry. All right. Tom Warren, what a clown. Look at them dooming and glooming, telling us these stories that games are going to PlayStation. Almost everything they said turned out true. So let's stop pretending. Okay. I know it makes you feel better because you're so invested in keeping things the same and you haven't crossed over to the other side. And I know Xbox people, yo, let's be clear. If I wanted to, I can do it. I could put the show on, right? Give me exclusives. Give me exclusives. I love them. I love them. I love them. Right? To get my channel going. Yeah, let's go, guys. Woo! Let's cheer. Let's go. I don't. And I won't. Why? Because my mind's already changed. And I'm not changing it for anybody unless you prove me different. I had multiple town halls on my channel. Town halls. Come on my channel. Tell me why it makes sense. No one. Every person who got on the mic pumped about exclusives came away, was like, I mean, I don't really need all exclusives. I mean, I don't know, maybe some exclusives. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, maybe. I don't know, maybe. Fam, it's an open mic. Come see me on my show. Come see me on my show and tell me. Prove to me why it needs to happen.
Because everything in the industry has exclusives.
That's fine. That's fine. Everything in the industry has exclusives until they don't.
Yeah,
Until
but you see,
right?
you know,
I don't, and I'm not trying to cut you off. What I'm saying is,
that's right.
I don't have Xbox and enjoy Xbox based on what PlayStation is doing. I don't have my Xbox and enjoy my Xbox based on what Nintendo is doing. Right?
I get it from your standpoint.
Yeah. What these people are doing. I'm a gamer first, right? Now, again, I got some replies to make on Twitter because some people think that I'm supposed to literally listen. I love the tagline before. Oh, we bleed green. You know what I'm saying? I get it. I get it. That means we're in it, right? But homie, this ain't no war. I ain't losing mine for nobody. I ain't losing mine for nobody. And I got it. Just understand, I got it. I'm not like, I think one of the things that people get confused and they think people with money just want to waste all their money. And that's not how it works, fam. Okay, let me explain something to you. When you have cash, you tend to try to keep it, right? You tend to try to keep the cash, right? Okay, so and if you're saying to yourself, "Nah, I don't understand that," then you ain't got the cash. I get it, but this is the reality, right? When you have it, you try to keep it. You don't just throw it away because you think it's a sport. We're not in a sport. We're not the players. We're not the players. We're not getting paid. We're the people in the stands. We're the people in the stands paying to see the game. Okay? You can love a sports team, but you're not part of the team. You're paying to see the game. All right. Now, this is the thing. We need to understand that we have multiple people. Jez is putting out this post. Now, I can see how insignificant it is because 142,000 people scrolled through that feed of theirs. They saw that and didn't even bother to press a button. Okay. So understand that realistically speaking, it's really not a huge voice in the crowd. Like there's a lot of people.
I disagree, brother. I understand
so what
your
do you think
point.
it means if 142,000 people look at your post? If you saw your YouTube analytics and it showed you that 142,000 people looked at your video, but only 1,000 people said, "I will watch it." You're telling me you feel like you're crushed.
But that's a Twitter poll, dude. See, like again, you're hanging your hat on Jez Cord.
People who follow him, right? And all he does is talk about Xbox and games and all this stuff.
He does it to a great degree. But here's the thing, you know, I'm sorry. I mean, again, your opinion is your opinion, brother, and I disagree. And that's
I'm
awesome.
not even talking about opinion. Like,
you know,
I'm not talking about opinion at this point. I'm talking about the numbers, right?
Well, the numbers, you know what you want to talk numbers, and this is where I kind of push back a little bit. You know, again, your opinion is yours. That's okay.
And I want it to be clear. Like my opinion is, I don't care about exclusives. So
I get it. Absolutely get that. You don't care because you want your Game Pass, and I want my Game Pass too. But here's the thing: I think it's safe to say that Project Latitude flopped, and it did. $667 million made across 15 games.
Yep.
Was obviously not worth the brand damage. Xbox is brand as it's known in the gaming space right now is mud. And it has been like that for years.
Well, you understand that's a falsity. That is not real.
No, that is real.
That's the bubble.
The numbers prove that it's real.
There's 45 million people who own an Xbox.
Yeah, there's also near
people who do it. There's 30 plus million people who subscribe to Game Pass every single month, who make the choice to do that.
Yes.
You cannot. Listen, it's not real. It's not real. I
disagree.
Don't tell me you're wrong unless you have something to do it. Come on my channel and tell me why I'm wrong, right? Or come up here and tell us why we're wrong.
Well,
it's not. It's emotional. I get it. But these are not the facts. The facts are that most people go home, turn on their Xbox, and play their games because that's all they're there to do. They don't come on shows. They don't do streams. They don't watch people play. They go home and play.
I'm bugged out by the fact that you don't think that the Xbox brand is damaged. Like
because look at these people here. Why are they here? If it's damaged, why don't they leave? Why don't we shut down our YouTube channels?
What you're confusing and conflating is the fact that a relevancy to a small, minute group and not the larger goal. See, the goal in any business, and you know this, is to be number one in your factor. That's it.
Never. That's definitely not the case.
Okay,
because I can never be number one in my factor.
Okay,
I will have to shut down my business, right?
That's you. In any of my companies that I open up, I wanted to be the number one in any area that I went into. And having a goal and achieving that goal is two different things, right? So having a goal and achieving that goal is two different things. But the bar is set to be the best in my area. So let's say,
being the best and being being number one are two different things, right?
Well, being the best in. I'm gonna give you what I'm going to talk about here.
Okay.
Private security. Private security. How can I be the best in private security? I'm going to give you one of the companies. Well, private security. How I can be the best? First, I needed to look at who was the best inside that sector. In private security, sometimes you just don't know who it is until you do your digging. Found out who was the best, found out what they did best, what they provided, what was their services, and how I can go above and beyond their services in a given range. And it took me time to get to that space. But when I got to that space, it was a deciding factor. I had to offer certain amenities that were actually outside of my scope. So I had to hire outside of my normal comfort zone, which was actually pretty good. But when I got into it, my goal was to be the best. My goal was to achieve that. And I think for a relative short period of time, I did achieve that. Now, taking that same ideology and placing it inside the gaming competitive space, none of these corporations, especially Microsoft, got into the gaming space to be third best and to not get the accolades. And I can tell you this from sitting in meetings, being adjacent to meetings, and getting white papers from meetings. It's a very cutthroat business, and the margin of error is very small. They didn't meet the metrics. If they did meet the metrics, one, leadership will still be in place. If they did meet the metrics, two, they would have never placed their games on PlayStation. We know from any stretch of the imagination, taking your digital self and placing it into another digital arena is suicide in this business. That's why people were trying to figure out what will be their next move. Because now you mix the messaging and your branding is off. So they had to course correct. We would never be to this place if it wasn't any course correction. Now, taking the numbers and looking at the diehards that actually go to our channels, majority of the time, people are going to your channel for you. They're not really going for Xbox. They're going for C Money and the entertainment that C Money brings them. You just happen to talk about an Xbox channel. You just happen to find something that you were passionate about, that they tune in for, that they share that same passion. But it's thousands of us that do Xbox channels that don't get close to your views because they go to see you. So don't confuse the brand being healthy with the amount of views and channels that is out there. It's just people sharing passions. But if anybody's tuning in to any show, especially an Xbox show,
it's usually the host they're tuning in for and their
that's
panel.
it, and the panel. So and having a place to let off some steam. So if you're delivering that service and you're seeing it, you're seeing that, you're seeing the reoccurring people, you're seeing the people giving you the time, they're there for you. When I first found you, I said, oh, what I called y'all, the first family of Xbox. I'm pretty sure that there is other families of Xbox that is on YouTube.
Mm-hmm.
Do I find them as entertaining? No. Do I find them as engaging? Absolutely not. Do I give them my time? Absolutely won't. But I do it because you're engaging and you're great. I like your stuff.
Appreciate you.
I like your opinions. So it's the same thing with Boom. Boom knows this because I've said it to him on numerous occasions. People tend to forget, at the end of the day, this is entertainment. We take the news because anybody can go to any news site, read anything, and just deliver the same news. We all have the same news. It's how we deliver it and how we interpret it that actually makes people show up for us. So yeah, Xbox as a brand, I can honestly tell you that they're hurting right now because there wouldn't be any course correction at all if they were perfectly fine. PlayStation as a brand is hurting right now. You know who's not making course corrections? Nintendo. Because they're not hurting at all.
So, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir.
How
he raised his hand. That was crazy.
How is PlayStation? How is it possible for PlayStation to be hurting if they have the exclusives that we claim we need to follow with?
But they
Okay.
really
have the
don't,
exclusive.
dude. That's
How
the
are
problem.
they hurting?
No,
I just want to know how are they
okay,
hurting
so
if they have
all right.
exclusive?
Now, I guess is the whole idea of the exclusive things because they don't do what we telling Xbox not to do, right? So you're saying, but so they shouldn't be hurting. They're hurting because Xbox learned a long time ago that they were supposed to extend themselves over to the PC brand, right? Xbox learned a long time ago that they needed to diversify their portfolio based upon what they've seen in the marketplace. They benefit a lot from having Microsoft as a parent company. PlayStation doesn't have those same luxuries. PlayStation doesn't have those same ideas that Microsoft has, right? So looking at it, understanding that there has to be a pivot point in which you needed to branch off. Jim Ryan comes in, Reggie Fils-Aimé comes in, Phil comes in. They all say the same thing. The small player base is only about 125, 140 million. They're sharing the same people over the same generations and never grow any larger than that. But then look over at the PC and realize, damn, these guys is almost at 1 billion. How are they doing this? How can we get in? And then you see Steam, and Steam did it as a storefront. They failed miserably as a console. They did it as a storefront. So you're looking at that marketplace and you're trying to get it. What we have seen so far, and to get to your point with the exclusives, you need to have a brand identity. I think a brand identity in that space, in the console space, goes a long way. Once and IPs allow you to have that identity because it gives people the ability to know I can only get this here. If I can get your stuff on another toy, because this is what these consoles are, toy, then I will go to the toy I prefer. Now that may leave you outside of the gate because if that other toy offers exclusives that you don't have, that puts you at a disadvantage. You want to make the consumer choose. But if you're making it easier for them to choose because your exclusives is on their box and their exclusives are not on your box, well, then you're at a disadvantage.
So that is understandable, right? I get that. The problem is that there is no clear 100% defined road where they can say, if I do this, this will happen.
I understand exactly what you're saying.
Opposite of the only thing that is certain is the opposite. If they do what people are saying that they would be okay doing, they will 100% be shortchanging the amount of people who are buying these games. Because this is the thing. The amount of people who bought the game on Xbox, even though it went to PlayStation and went to these other other places, is not changing. Keeping it here is not going to make that number
grow
up. They're already, the people who are buying that game is the same. And I got to tell you something. Phil, again, these guys who live and breathe this stuff, okay? This is what their livelihood is on, right? Like I would never question what you're talking about with private security. I know nothing about it, right?
Right.
My business is a whole different thing as well, right? So when he came out and said that I could put on an 11 out of 10 game, they're still not going to come. This is why. People want to live in a time that doesn't exist anymore. Back then, way smaller amount of games. So many less games that were made, and the caliber level between first party and indie was drastic. Drastic. You could not get any type of scenario that was anywhere near what the first parties and the big companies can give you from anyone else. So yes, it was so amazing. God damn it.
Yeah, I get it.
It was so captivating to buy and experience these big games because there was nowhere else to get them. Now, Tim and Bob can go into their garage and build a game that looks and plays very similar to any game out there. Okay. any game out there visually can be right there. Like we have some of the biggest games that are around have nothing to do with any first party platform holder.
Yep.
In fact, no first party platform holder created one of those games. The closest is Xbox with Forza. Okay. But Minecraft, that blew up, had nothing to do with a first party platform holder. They bought it. Yes, they own it now. But when it blew up, it had nothing to do with them. Call of Duty had nothing to do with them. First party has had no hand in creating the next big thing in gaming.
But they've never had a year like this, see. And
no,
honestly,
they have had these games.
They've had good years. They've had pretty good years. They have not had a bombastic year like
what
this.
happens next year, Boom? Where is that year next year? How are they going to change everything? They're going to throw everything out the window for 1 year because they don't have the IP to do it again next year.
I understand your point, and you're putting down good points of view why exclusivity doesn't matter to you. But here's the ultimate.
Even me changing. This is not even what I was even like. The exclusive. Like for me, I don't care.
I'm aware of that, but here's the problem.
On that, I need it, but I don't care about that part.
The problem is that you have not presented a case that would make the Xbox hardware relevant. You are saying that you don't care.
To who?
I understand you don't care.
But no. Let's
no. Hold on a sec. Hold on. Let me paint my picture. No, but see, I'm already in. See, this is the problem. So you can't put yourself. I say this all the time. You can't put yourself at the center of the conversation because we're already here. Yeah. The reason why there's leadership change is because they can't sell their consoles. Why can't they sell their consoles? Because you have people in their minds saying that I could just sit back and wait. And let me just add this bit of context.
So since 2013, they've been sitting on this moment right now.
No, dude, but they can't. What happened before did not work, dude.
Since 2013, they have not sold consoles to beat PlayStation or Nintendo.
But you're giving people less incentive to buy the hardware, dude. You're not fixing the problem of selling your hardware by putting your games on the competitor's platform.
You know how I can destroy the argument very easily. Very easily. Had the ABK deal did what the ABK deal was supposed to do without the interruptions, and Call of Duty only been available on the PC and Xbox, then you would have seen a drastic switch and change.
You would have seen a drastic switch and change for a little while, and then a game would have risen
that'd have been a permanent change.
Would have taken that role on PlayStation, and the media would have downplayed Call of Duty. And something else would take its place. You don't live in a world where you can say that I'm going to go ahead and remove a game from one place and think it's going to be big.
But you understand what I'm talking about, right?
Sure.
What I'm talking about is the biggest problem, and it has the arguments that we're talking about is good. It's not what the overall issue is. The overall issue is the lack of sales and the hardware and how to re-energize that sale factor. You said from your own mouth, lowering the cost of the Series console will not do it. Right? So what must you do in order to change your fortunes into getting the consumer that hasn't made the jump over, because it's millions of people that haven't made the jump over to current generation 9.
60 million between both consoles.
What will you do to change that fortune for Xbox?
So I'll do exactly what they are doing. 100% what they are doing. People keep saying that Asha came in here screaming about I'm going to start selling consoles. That's not what she said.
No, I mean,
she said I'm just asking you, like, the poor. So my question, my answer to you,
what would you do to sell consoles?
My answer to you is to go ahead and make the people who have Xboxes love it so much that they can't help but spread the word, right? That is
evangelization.
the answer. Absolutely. That's what they're.
So,
why do you think
all right,
Satya
so-
came out and talked about? Satya didn't come out and say we need to go ahead and figure out how to sell more consoles. He said we have to get our core, this smaller group of people, back on board so that they can start pimping us out again. Okay.
So
That's
you would
what
go
they're
with
talking
the
about.
evangelization. All right. So
That's
so
the
if you
only
want
thing
to,
that
all right.
has
So if you want to
word of mouth is
evangelize,
free.
right. So now the player voice went up. Only people that are talking to that have Xbox accounts. The core wants exclusives. The core wants to evangelize that. You
Fine.
see?
So, but this is the problem. I this is why I said that the conversation went, because I guess I was building up to a point, and then
Yeah.
that point, like the build up took over the rest of the conversation. That I already mentioned all the way before. I already accepted. I don't care.
Right.
If they do exclusives, if that's what they feel they need to do, Gucci, great. I back whatever they choose to do because I feel like they know. They
Right.
have the data, they have the information. If Asha says we need to start doing exclusives, great. I don't care. I don't care if they do it. I don't care if they don't. That's my stance. The only thing I fall back on was the idea that they don't need it. But whether they do it or not, that's on them. If they decide they need that, great. Okay, good for them. The whole conversation went sideways, but the only thing I care about and what I was leading to with the idea that we should have some idea that these rumors might have some basis in the truth is this poll. The poll is what has changed everything for me, because people are coming out like Hargeet saying that he has some idea of what's happening. You have people like Dirt saying that he's heard some things that are happening. You have other people who are saying they heard that, right? I think maybe King, you said some stuff, right? So the point is the idea that we are okay saying for you, Microsoft, a business that I do not make money on. And if you own stock, great. If you own 10 stock, be quiet. If you own 100,000 stocks, then yes, you're living. But guess what? This is the last thing you're worried about. Xbox ain't it, Jack. This is not what you're banking on. You're banking on the bigger part of the businesses to make your money. So if you do actually have real stock in the company, you wouldn't be talking about Xbox, okay? This helping their numbers, okay? That wouldn't be your concern. The fact that we have gone to this place where people think it's okay, and boom, what I wanted to, even just before, because I caught some of the show at the end of your show, and I saw your mood change, right? And this is the thing. On my show, I went ahead and I told everybody, this is the reality of what it is. Be careful what you wish for, okay? You cannot control how Xbox goes ahead and gives you what you want. You cannot control it. You can say, well, it only makes sense to do this because of this. Oh, they should do this because of this. That doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it still doesn't
Your
take
wish
away the
is
fact that the
exclusive.
consoles are not selling, and what
Boom, I
Project
get it.
Latitude did failed.
Great. It doesn't matter. The point is that if at the end of the day, they are choosing between giving you exclusives and taking day one games out, you already said it. You would choose day one.
I would rather have my day one games.
That you don't realize
but
that's
I also
happening.
said that there is a world where both of those things exist at the same time.
But you can't make that world come to fruition.
I can,
there's the
but I
conversations
can
are talked about. We're adding anyway.
But you can't make that conversation happen. So what I'm saying is the reality is that in this one situation, okay, in this specific situation, because people are out here saying, King, you just said it. Give away the exclusives, right? I mean, give away the day one. Right?
I want PlayStation to have nothing. I want them
Okay.
to starve out and die. Y'all 2 different people than me.
Yeah. So this is the thing. The idea that we should be okay with spending more of our dollars to fit
I think that's the short of it. I don't think that's the long of it.
To die. So we got to pay for that burial? No, fam. That's crazy.
That is a
it's crazy talk.
Again,
I know you're just going to say there's a middle ground. The middle ground is irrelevant to this conversation with
but it's actually at the crux of it, because you have not fixed the problem that is encompassed Xbox as a brand. It is a brand that looks weak. It's a brand that has its player base fractured. Okay, it's a brand that is on one knee.
Okay.
And there's a reason for that.
With exclusives coming back. Sure. Good. Great. Let's do it. So you're good. They go ahead and say, boom, high five. Thank you for all your support on getting the exclusives back. We appreciate you. Yo, all the games are out of day one Game Pass for sure, but we made it happen for you, Boom, because you guys wanted exclusives. If that's the announcement?
But that's not how it's going to go, because there is room for both to exist, and you're sidestepping the whole point of how do you bring people to your hardware. You keep talking about you don't care. I get that. And you don't want to spend money because you have a service that's worth its weight in gold. I totally understand that, because I'm there with you. But here's the problem. This game that's on the screen is a certified banger. If you were to announce to the world that this is not launching on PlayStation 5, you're going to get a subset of current gamers on PlayStations to potentially make an Xbox their secondary, not their main, just like they've been doing years with the Switch, and at the same time get new incoming players who, and again, the number is 60 million players right now that are on PS4 and PS4 Pro and Xbox One X and S consoles. 10 million for Xbox, 49 and something, let's just say 50 for shits and giggles on PlayStation. Am I suggesting that all 60 will move over? No. But if half, let's get crazy. Let's just say a quarter, 15 million people are going to upgrade for GTA, Call of Duty, Madden, or NCAA, because all of those games are the most popular and they're the ones that are played the most on these old consoles. If you have a console that is cheap, and they do, and they did drop it to $350, and on top of a GTA, a Grand Theft Auto, a Madden, and an NCAA, and you have a game like this that has taken over the zeitgeist, and then you follow that up with a Gears of War E-Day that's going to be a banger, and Halo, and Fable, and you say that these games are exclusive to this platform, you will get people to find your hardware interesting enough to invest in. And that goes for people that are currently playing on PS5s right now and people that would be coming over from older hardware. And that's the problem. How are you going to tell someone to buy your hardware? I mean, literally, I read in the opening and the other topic that the guy that they just hired said that what the importance is of hardware. You can't sell your hardware to people if you can find your shit everywhere. And that goes right to all of the media services, the Netflix, the Amazons, the Apples. They all have things that you can't find anywhere else, which is why you subscribe to them.
So I guess I understand that is your belief. Right. And when we talk about opinions and everybody having them.
Yeah, of course.
I agree that that's your opinion and a lot of people's opinion. Great. That's not my opinion. And also not a lot of people's opinion. Right. So it's not, no matter how you cut it, it's not one way or another blank check. That's the way that everybody feels. Okay. So both sides have their feelings for it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
I've already told you that I don't care.
Yes.
So what I'm trying to say is I don't care about that part of it. If you guys want day one game, I'm sorry, take that back. If you guys want your exclusives, go ahead, man. Bang the drum. All of you go and do the signature or upvote and do what you got to do to get your exclusives. I don't care. The moment I care is when people think that they can go to people like me with families and 6 kids and expenses everywhere, take other hardworking people who have 6 or not 6, I have 6, but who have kids, who have families, who have responsibilities, and go to them and tell them, no, fam, you don't get to enjoy gaming the way you have.
Well, I mean, I'm not saying that.
Console wars. I need my brand has to be fixed. No, that part is where I don't care what.
And I absolutely get that from a responsibility point of view. No one's suggesting that.
There's only one question to be answered, Boom, and that question is simple. If the case is you can't interject your own answer because that wasn't what was provided to us. What's provided to us is Hargeet, Dirt, other people telling us that consoles, Game Pass day and dates are going to be out the door soon.
No, what the exact wording was is that Game Pass was going to change, not that Game Pass was out the door. I know Hargeet has opinion.
Day and date is out the door. That's the rumors. I'm going based off the rumors.
Yes.
Okay. So I already told you, outside of the rumors, I don't give a shit about the exclusives. Do what you want, care what you want, have at it. Don't matter to me. Do I push back? I don't think they need it, but I don't care to have that conversation because.
But there is a way to have both, dude. Like I said, we're
kumbaya. That's what I want.
No, it's not kumbaya. It's the reality.
You don't touch my Game Pass. The conversation never takes place.
Yeah, but
is not happening right now.
You can have exclusivity and a service.
You can't give me that, Boom. You're not the person
I can't give you that, but
my day one Game Pass check. Okay, it's Xbox, and the conversation right now is that outside of everybody in here, people like Dirt, unless I misunderstood them, people like Hargeet who feel like they have some insider knowledge. The rumor is that Day and Date is on the chopping block. King just said it. He just said it himself. So you're pivoting to make yourself feel better. Boom.
No, not at all. I'm not pivoting at all. I literally presented a case where you can have both.
Take away Game Pass. You just told us you're retired. You don't want to have to buy all these games. You're buying more games than ever, right?
Yes, that's correct.
You're in my boat. You are here with me, but you think there's another boat coming. And that's the problem. I
presented my case that gives you exactly the boat that you want to ride on.
The facts of your idea.
Nah, you're going based on rumors, and you're taking that as fact. And I'm taking an actual factual, broken down way on how you can have both and how Xbox can succeed by having both. I also explained a business strategy that is currently used in traditional businesses right now. Short-term loss for long-term gain. You spend up front.
That's only if you know. That's only if you know, my dude.
It's not if I know. I am telling you that is how business works, dude.
Yeah, but the business the business doesn't just say, we'll take this loss for hopefully this long-term gain. No, they only do that when they see the steps of it actually happening.
And how don't you see the steps happening? I don't get it.
No, dog. No, that's not real.
Listen, we're definitely not going to agree on this, dude. I'm not pandering,
but I feel like we're moving away from literally what you started when you talked about it is day and date versus exclusives. That was what we were talking about.
Yes.
And then we pivoted away to this idea that there's this middle ground. I want your middle ground. You're preaching to the choir, bro. I want what you're saying.
Right.
I want that. Get your exclusive so you guys are happy, and I keep my Game Pass untouched.
But I think I presented a case that you can't. I mean, the header of the show says day one Xbox Game Pass versus exclusives. Can gamers have both? And I said in the header, the answer is yes. And I presented my case as to why they can. Because again, you have to understand, King said it, they were hoping to have 100 million subscribers to Xbox Game Pass. They also wanted to sell consoles. And how could they sell consoles? How could they actually get people to buy an Xbox in 2026? Well, the easy answer is they have a game coming out that's going to envelop the entire planet and break every conceivable entertainment record known to man. And that includes film, anime, TV, whatever, including gaming in Grand Theft Auto when it releases. And you, again, opportunity. You can't. Why do you think they move so quickly and getting all of these new leaders in here to make these moves hit the ground running? Because they have only a couple of months to figure out how they can get people enticed to buy the box that people are going to buy to play Grand Theft Auto. And that box may not be a PlayStation 5 because they just raised their prices. So what we've seen in the past is Microsoft F's up and Sony takes advantage. Well, Sony has effed up. Not only did they raise every piece of hardware they own, they just raised their services. And they even in their forecast for the next quarter, they're expecting to be down again. They were just down 46% in console sales. Xbox was down 33%. Xbox has been shitting the bed with messaging and marketing for years, and now there's an opportunity for incoming players that they have the stats on that might actually convert over to Xbox. And here's why. Here's my whole point. In 2013, you brought up the date. 2013, Xbox should have walked into the Xbox One generation as king shit, and they didn't because of messaging and marketing. And why did Sony win? Because of price and power, right? So yes, 3% is the Series X is 3% less powerful than the PSSR and what they're doing with the PlayStation 5 Pro. But those consoles are hundreds of dollars more expensive. And opportunity is knocking. Microsoft sees that, which is why Xbox made all these changes in February, because they knew that when Grand Theft Auto came out, not their games, their third-party partner in Rockstar and Take-Two, they were going to get a lot of transitional gamers. And who has the best lineup in 2026 to not only entice them with cheaper hardware? Xbox could certainly turn around and be like, you can't play this game on this console, and you can also get cheaper way into next gen and play Grand Theft Auto. That is my business proposal, and that is exactly how they could have both exclusivity and Xbox Game Pass day and date, because I'm not saying they're going to get 100 million subscribers, but I can guarantee you if they can convert just 15 million of those 60 million players that are still playing on old hardware and still sell on PC, unlike PlayStation, they are at the advantage. That's my business take. I don't have a degree, and maybe I sound like a complete idiot, but I think I presented a pretty solid case.
Boom. If that happens, high five, bro. I'm good for it. That's not the conversation that is a concern. Exclusives are irrelevant to me, but if it means something to you, great. We're on the same side. I'm not fighting you having exclusives. I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. My games, my output, what I play doesn't change.
Well, you know what?
My games on Game Pass, I'm not upset about it. I agree with you. The conversation that I'm interested in is if what King said is real, what Dirt said is real, what Jez Poll is alluding to, and the conversation is not going to be a day one and exclusives.
Well, we have to see. This is just polls. This is just speculation. There's nothing been announced.
Well,
Listen,
but again, what I started by saying was that we already played this game. Boom. We already played this game. Oh, it's speculation. Oh, they're just ponies. I told you right in the beginning. I did it too, right? I used to talk about Jez being a pony. I used to talk about Tom Warren. I used to talk about all these people, Insider Gaming, saying all these things about the games going. I defended us. No, it's not just rumors. Look at these people talking all this crap. Every single thing, minus maybe some small things that I don't remember, came true. It came true. Boom. You can't deny it. That is the fact. That is the fact.
But you listen, it did come true.
Okay,
different leadership, different ideologies, and understand that there's a difference now because Satya knows and understands why they messed up and made all of these changes to fix what was broken. If Satya did not believe that the Xbox brand was broken, he would have never made any of the changes. And obviously, again, I've said it before, Asha's skill set is to get people to be excited about a brand, interact with that brand, engage with that brand, spend money in that brand. You can't do that if your shit is everywhere. But look, we're 2 hours in and I have to catch up to some super chat. So what I'm going to do, gentlemen, is I want to sell your brand. I want people to go to your platform to continue this conversation because I know that it's going to be a conversation and I got to get you guys out of here. Joey Kraken in the chat from WBG. I am going to do a poll. I'm going to hang out probably a half an hour afterwards. So chat, don't go anywhere. I am going to do a poll and I'm going to catch up on super chats. But let's start off with King David. Brother, I apologize, but to both of you, I really thought I was going to get us out of here in 60 minutes. And, you know, we all like to talk. But listen, sell the brand, King. I would imagine that you're going to have at least 10 videos in the next couple of days talking about this because you have good opinions and big ones. Sell the brand of your podcast. And obviously, congratulations on the continued success, brother. Where could people not only follow you and watch you every Sunday on ILP, but of course, subscribe to your YouTube channel?
You can check me out on Xbox Frontline News, where today I'll be going live. I go live every day, Monday through Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, with Friday being a special day where we have Fight Night Fridays. You can come in, you can have some fun. I just got a partnership with Play On. So you'll be hearing,
dude.
Yeah, man. Super excited about that.
Awesome.
We're going to have an interview with some stuff coming up soon. You're going to have more news about Neo Geo and, Xbox
I know what they have.
Yeah, man. Xbox Frontline News is going to be the home of Neo Geo. So you guys come November 12th. You can come check it out. It's going to be a lot of stuff happening. And up until then, so this year, the next week, we'll be going to California to go to Summer Games Fest, but also we're going to Germany this year with Iron Lords Podcast, and Xbox Frontline News will be going to PAX West this year. Again, that'll be more news on that based upon the new partnership. You will get that, but I'll be dropping videos this weekend, and we'll be definitely talking about this topic because this topic is a polarizing one at best, but there's merits across the boards because there's no definitive answer for what Xbox needs to do and what they have to do because everybody as an individual have different needs. Today, we'll be talking about who really canceled the family plan. So check out Xbox Frontline News and we'll get that done later on tonight. But I love you guys. I swear it's so much fun. And I knew it was going to go long. Once I see money pop in, I said yes, because at the end of the day, we all bring something different to this space. That's why the Xbox brand is healthiest on YouTube because we have some of the best content creators supporting the brand, so I appreciate you guys.
Well, brother, thank you so much. Enjoy the rest of the day, King. We'll be talking. See money, let's sell the brand of On Point for Gamers. Obviously, you're going to be out in LA. You're going to have a lot of coverage as well. Talk about where people can subscribe to your YouTube channel, follow both you and Doodle on the socials, and potentially even call in for a conversation regarding exclusivity versus Xbox Game Pass day one.
Yeah, I think I'm going to start just like every show I do, just putting the link up there because I see a lot of people talking a lot of crap. And they were all doing the same thing in the chat. And then when they got on the mic and told me what happened and why it mattered, it didn't really go their way, or at least the way they thought it would go. And I'm not saying I'm open, and I'm still am. And to be honest with you, that is why I said I'm already open to it, and I understand. Once I saw the player voice, even though it's an insignificant number in comparison to how many people are there, it is representative of that group, right? That group who is so passionate about it. So, 13, 15, 20, 30,000, however much number that grows to. If they feel it, great. Again, don't matter to me. It doesn't change anything for me as long as my Game Pass stays the same. All right, that's where I'm at. So I have, molded my feelings on it to be, accepting of the idea, right? But listen, we are on point for gamers. We don't just do live streams. We do game reviews, we do videos, we do live gameplay. Most of our growth, thankfully, has come from some of these other places, which is phenomenal. But yeah, we do a lot of everything. It's not just one thing. Right now, back at 1 o'clock. If you guys didn't get a chance, go ahead. We got a early access to the new Warhammer Bolt Gun 2 that dropped. We put it up. The embargo time was 1 o'clock. So you had my raw first impressions of that. That's one of our shows that we do. And also we got early access to Warhammer Survivors. Boom. I even shouted you out in my video saying that I know my boy Boom is going to love this game. Ponko is actually working with them. So the people who make Vampire Survivors essentially working with them to make Warhammer Survivors. And it's pretty dope. So, it's definitely something that you should go check out if you haven't. It is on Steam. The demos are out now, or they should be out soon. I didn't know if they were going to do it right after or whatever. But definitely go check that content out. We'll be going live tonight with We Doing It Live, where we're going to be playing more games. I'll probably be playing those games live, and then some other games as well. We normally play like 4 or 5 games in the night. So we'll definitely do that. And then tomorrow night, we'll be live with Night Shift at 8 p.m. With our boy Hargi Chani. So we're going to have a great time there. And then we do our Tuesday night shows that just passed. If you missed it, go check it out. It's with myself, Doodle, our boy Pharaoh Bizarre, and a huge community member for a lot of channels is our boy Broke Boy. He tends to hop on and come rock out with us. So it's definitely a good time. All right. So, the idea of where gaming is right now, it's phenomenal. Okay. I don't care what side of this argument you're on. I don't think anybody can look at me and tell me that as a gamer, you're not being fed better than you've ever eaten in your life with gaming. And the people who are most responsible for that is Xbox, but I know they're failing and everything is dying, but they are giving us the good stuff. Okay. So that's the important part for me as a gamer. I will say, just to sum up the situation for myself, Microsoft doesn't own me. They don't pay me. So I am not gonna make myself have a worse situation to see Xbox have a better situation. I'm sorry. I'm never going to co-sign that. You may not like that. You may say that, oh, it's console before all. No, it's me before all. It's you before all. It's your family before all. The console is cool, and the console wars are cool when it's only words and it doesn't actually affect your real life money that you go to your 9 to 5 and put in hours to make, to then say, yeah, half my day is buying this one game. I spent half my day to buy one game. Like that's the stuff that you got to think about before you say things like, hey, I'm okay getting rid of day and dates when, I mean, look, there's people that I know for a fact that have come to my show in my chat and told me they can't super chat because they're too broke. Not that I asked them to, but they would just say that they're too broke, they can't super chat. But then they're also out here saying, yeah, we don't need Game Pass. Yeah, I'm gonna.
Yeah,
bro,
I would never say we don't need
You're not
Game Pass.
buying these games, dog. Come on, man.
No,
Like,
no,
don't pretend, right? That's
listen,
just
I get
reality.
it, brother. I get it.
So-
I understand why it's important to me, and I'm a retiree, so I understand
and
more than
that, and
anybody.
boom, what I wanted to tell you, and this is why I was trying to get to it. I know that it took longer, and it kind of is what it is. But what I was trying to tell you is that you have a platform, right? A big platform, and a lot of people talk to you and see you, right? And I think you're spending a lot of time talking about the exclusive stuff, which is cool. This is your channel, do what you gotta do. But I also think that you should give a little light to this idea that if this is the case, that you're not for it. And I know you say you don't want it, but I think the fact that you glaze over it makes it where, like, it becomes a non-conversation.
Oh, I don't think so. I mean, I appreciate the criticism, but I disagree.
Bro.
I have been very, very clear with exclusivity and how, and again, this is not the first time I presented my case on how it can work and how it should work. You can have both. You don't have to have one or the other. And I continue to bang the drum to say whatever they did before for the last 2.5, 24, 28, 26 months, whatever it is, failed miserably to the point where the brand it has bent the knee and it's literally resting on one knee. The brand is broke. The gamers are fractured, and it's in third and potentially in some cases fourth place. You can't do what you did before and expect to win. Again, it's the whole thing with insanity. You expect a different outcome, and you're not going to get it. But again, listen, gentlemen, we're brothers. We all have different opinions. I want to say I love you guys. Thank you so much for hanging out. I apologize that you were here so freaking long. I didn't expect it to be this long. But enjoy your day, gentlemen. I'm going to hang out with the chat here. I got to catch up on super chats, and then I'll end the show. But I love you, and we'll be talking soon.
All right. Catch you later. Peace.
All right, guys.
All right, man. Be easy.
All right. Later, guys. All right, chat. Listen, let's get to you. I ran a poll, and I took what Joey Kraken said, and let me take a look at this poll. No, I don't want to end the poll. I want to see the poll. How the heck do I see the poll here? Okay, hold on. Yeah, here it is. Okay. See, this is the crazy thing. So again, I'm small potatoes. There are 79 votes. Big deal, right? There's 500 people here, folks. Drop. All you gotta do is click once. Click. Let me know what the people are saying. It's 50-50 right now. It's 82 votes in total. Again, this is small potatoes. And yes, I want exclusives, 51%. No, I want day one on Game Pass, 49%. So this is, again, we've heard this. We've heard that it's kind of like a real split. I mean, Dirk Wrigley just said it on his and his thing is he wants exclusives over a Game Pass. He doesn't want his Game Pass to change, but look. I'm right here with Big Mad Mo. I want my cake and I want to eat it too. Look, Microsoft. How do I even say this? First of all, I want this to be clear. Me and C, we're brothers. Me and King and C, we're all brothers. We have different opinions. Now, I'm more on the side of King because I think the way King tried to explain it from a business point of view made sense. I understand, and I want this to be clear also. You got to understand the defensive stance from C Money. He has 6 kids, ladies and gentlemen. He has his own business. So his hustling pays for his kids' school, pays for the home, the electricity, puts food on the table. And I understand his frustration even that he doesn't want the majority of, the minority of loud people on Xbox to determine how his Game Pass looks. So I listen, I understand what he's saying. But I mean, folks, listen, if you think I'm a boo, by all means, just throw it in the chat. That's perfectly fine. I never said I was the sharpest tool in the shed. But I really do think, and I hate to keep beating the same drum, I have presented a really good business case on how they can do this, how they can get new customers, how they can get new subscribers, how they can continue to make not only their IPs worthy of your dollars and subscriptions, the dollars that you put into it, but get people to look over. Look, Fuzzy Belvedere said this, and I think it's a brilliant take. Fuzzy said, why couldn't the Xbox Series S, which is considered the lesser powerful platform of the four, Xbox Series X and S, PS5, and Pro, it's the lesser powerful model. It's the cheapest model into next gen. Now, a lot of gamers don't choose PlayStation, Xbox, PlayStation. A lot of gamers choose PlayStation Switch, Xbox Switch, because it's Nintendo. It's like Disney. Everyone loves Nintendo. Now, maybe you don't. That's fine. But there is a conversation to be had that in a generation that has multiple services, the one worth its weight in gold is Xbox Game Pass. Now, if Xbox and specifically Microsoft sees that they are making record sales on their consoles, record gains in services because they have bangers like this, you're not going to get day and date to go away, because that's going to be the carrot on the stick to entice you to subscribe. Because people don't have the spendable monies to go buy, now for PlayStation, they're only going to have one AAA game a year, so that's just $170 or $80 game. You look at Xbox, well, I mean, they got Call of Duty that was taken out of Game Pass, and again, I'm still in my feelings over that, but it's just the one game, and I don't like it, but it also dropped Game Pass down $7, and now people are back subscribing. See, I'm paid up until what was last month? April of 29. I'm good. You know what I'm saying? So I'm not worried about it because I'm a conscious consumer. But a lot of people aren't. Some people buy month to month. People buy every 3 months, right? But there is a world where you can have people coming into your ecosystem based on power and price. The PlayStation 4 versus the Xbox One is a perfect example. And I know that's 100 years ago, but that is also a reality right now. If you can't afford $700 to $900 for a PS5, can you afford $350 with a pack-in game, or $350 with a 30-day trial of Xbox Game Pass? Well, it's certainly going to be more affordable than you trying to buy a $500 or $700 or $900 PlayStation. So again, I know I'm preaching to the choir here, man. I just want it. I don't want it to be I really, and I speak for myself, but I also want it to be clear that I don't think everyone should do the pitchforks and torches for C Money, because his defensive stance should be understandable to anybody here that has a family. From his point of view, I get why he has an angry tone and take towards don't touch my Game Pass. Because for him, someone with 6 kids and a business owner, he owns his own business. What he hustles for is what he earns. You understand what I'm saying? And Game Pass right now is the best service, and he doesn't want it changed. I don't want it changed. I'm a retiree. I can't begin to tell you how many games. I bought more games this year than maybe 2 years combined, because I like buying games. I'm buying all the big ones. I bought Lego Batman. I bought 007. I don't get everything from Xbox. I have to buy my own stuff. I buy it. If it's not my Game Pass, I buy it. But listen, let me catch up on Super Chats. I'll answer the questions. I know I got a couple, and apologies for this being one. This is a long ass podcast. My back is a disaster area. OPS, by the way, because I don't like sitting for this long, but it is what it is. I'm here for you. Let's go back to Bounty in the chat, a channel member for 59 months. He goes on to say, first of all, Bounty, thank you so much for the incredible support. He says, Wagwan, enough respect to the panel and crew. Big up, big up. What if they don't give those 4 games? What would happen? Keep up the good work, Boom. I just think that Microsoft finds themselves looking like the best way I could describe it, and maybe someone's going to clip this and make fun of me. The way I see Xbox, not Microsoft, they're a $1 billion corporation. I'm talking about Xbox. They were weak, and now they're starting to gain momentum and get their strength back. Sony continues to step on rakes, ladies and gentlemen. If it wasn't the lawsuit for charging extra for tariffs that is besmirched the brand, it's the digital lawsuit in the UK. It's the break in security once again. You heard what happened with Colin, right? Which is just terrible. They have no first party roadmap. Soros 300K. It's 46% less selling than Returnal was. It's not on PC. They announced that they're moving away from PC, so the only sales they're going to get for their first party single player games are going to be their own players on PS5. Like, they have done a lot of really wacky, unlike Sony moves. And right now, who's making all the right moves? Xbox is making all the right moves, chat. They're the ones making all the right moves, and all of the excitement is with them. All they have to do is just keep making positive content, and every day there's something new. Is it concerning that they are considering, or at least due to some polls and Hargeet and a few others thinking that, yeah, they heard? Yeah, I'm sure that it has been discussed to get rid of Game Pass. But, didn't Asha just meet with the head of Netflix? What is that, for nothing? No, they're probably trying to make some sort of a deal to get Netflix in Game Pass. So is that getting rid of it? No, I don't think it is. Is Game Pass going to change? Probably, but does that mean first of day one games? I don't think so. I don't want to be, sound like I'm rebel rousing or anything. There's a way for them to walk a razor's edge, be profitable, and also have games day and date and hold exclusives that will make people buy your hardware. It's me. Okay, no, I got that already. Day Reezy drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, King seems well behaved this morning. C Money, did you share your Grey Poupon mustard and olives with him this morning? Such a gentleman that C Money is. Yeah, he is absolutely a gentleman. And I know a lot of people are going to come for him. I don't think. Listen, we can have different opinions, folks, and all be friends. If you don't like his opinion, you don't have to be subscribed to him. You don't even have to tune into the show on Thursday. But I appreciate and respect his opinion, and I also understand where the frustration is coming from. I honestly do. And if you are a parent, a working parent, whether you work for a company or yourself, you should also understand why he feels this way. He doesn't want his Game Pass changed because he uses it to his advantage, and he has a big family that all games. It's not just one or two. They all game, ladies and gentlemen. But listen, let me continue. We have here Ski Walker Entertainment, or ENT, drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I don't care about console wars. Day and date was the main selling point for me. I stayed through all of the rises in price. If day and date is gone, I am too. And you're not going to be the only one, brother. I appreciate the generosity and the comment. You're not going to be the only one. I ran out of water. You know what, guys? I know I would never normally do this. I've only seen Josh do this successfully. I got to get a water. Give me 2 seconds to walk over to the fridge. My God, I'm running out of voice. I'm back. I'm going to get on camera in a second. I was parched beyond parched. I felt like I was in a desert. Okay, thank you, folks. Thank you. This is a crazy podcast, right? Like, I can't believe it. So look, it's me, the broke boy, drops an additional very generous $5 super chat and says Rockstar's earning call this afternoon is at 4:30 Eastern. If GTA is going to be delayed, as rumored, or as the rumor floating around is, and he puts all in all caps rumor, we'll probably find out there. Yeah, I mean I hope that it gets delayed, honestly, because if it does, that really does make it a Microsoft year. Xbox can put their games wherever they want. They can spread them out real nice. You know, you can get Halo in July, Gears in September, and then November is wide open for Fable. You got October, the end of October for Call of Duty, and it's all about Xbox. And Xbox has their 25th anniversary in November. It's you see where I'm going with this? Like, it would be really great for Xbox if this gets delayed, but we'll see at 4:30 if they announce it or not. Scott Woodford has been a channel member for 22 months. Goes on to say, Game Pass makes about $5 billion. Well, they actually made $5 billion last year. I just looked it up. If Xbox could put a GTA on Game Pass, would that be the best thing to do for 6 months after? I mean, first of all, they don't even have the marketing, so they couldn't do that. But the numbers as it goes for Game Pass, and this is why I don't understand the ideology of taking out day and date. They spend $1 billion on games into the service. Now, the only thing that's fuzzy, and I don't mean fuzzy Belvedere, that I can't figure out because I don't have access to the boardroom numbers, is that $1 billion, does that encompass only third party, second party, and indie, or does that include first party games that were in there? If it's first party games, then the case is made for me right there. They made over $5 billion, not from Xbox, but from Xbox Game Pass last year. So again, folks, not the sharpest tool in the shed. I'm not a mathematician. I don't have any facts or numbers other than those two. But if you spent $1 billion and you made $5 billion, I think that's a $4 billion profit. That's pretty good. But again, I'm not trying to win any console wars. I'm not trying to win any arguments or conversations. I have my opinion and others have theirs. And everyone else that does have theirs are absolutely entitled to do so. I just don't have to agree. So Mac22 says, see money preach. And I'm sorry, we couldn't really have read this live on the air. I don't know. I mean, there was a lot of things that C Money said that you can say he preached, and maybe it was the day and date versus console exclusives. And see, again, I say this all the time. Maybe it's my running narrative, but just to be clear, I'm not trying to say, hey, I'm going to change the channel to Console War 101. So when Forza 6 doesn't go to PlayStation, I'm going to start grifting and saying, hey, ponies, you don't got this game. I don't give a shit what PlayStation guys have. I have a PlayStation. I haven't turned it on. I turned it on 3 times this year and twice was dusting. So I don't play on PlayStation. I own one. I don't play on it. I don't care. But but I'm a bot and I want to see Xbox succeed. And I want them to be, I want competition because competition does what for us? As gamers, we win. Because the more competition, the more people that play on Xbox, the more they're going to want to make games for it. The more they're going to put into Xbox Game Pass. If Xbox Game Pass went for during the transition, if GTA is this year for that matter, and that's another reason. If GTA doesn't come out this year and it's delayed, that gives Xbox an opportunity to really stockpile their consoles and then make a case for their consoles this year to get people into the ecosystem in preparation for next year's Grand Theft Auto. They'll be vested. Xbox Game Pass will see a bump. Consoles will see a bump. They'll see increases across the board. And again, I have stock, but not enough that's going to make that much of a difference. I don't give a flying shit. But I'm just saying that if we're looking at this as a whole, it's a winning combination for Microsoft and Xbox. Whether they do it or not, well, we're gonna find out soon enough, aren't we? But Day Reezy says this after dropping an additional very generous $5 super chat. Project Mustitude equals C Money spending his mustard on other people's slices of bread without their permission. Oh, spreading his mustard. That's a giant pause right there. Pause. I don't know what mustard you're talking about, but hopefully it's the one that comes in a jar. But shout out to you, Day Reezy. Appreciate you being here, brother. We have I don't want to say it's moccasin because it's not. Maybe it is. Moccasin in the chat or Mocha Sin in the chat drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, I feel like people forget from a business perspective, Phil was wildly successful. Only reason you go back to exclusivity is optics to kill PlayStation. Look, the one thing when you see a big shakeup in leadership, the way that when everything happened, we know, of course, Phil and Sarah because they talked with the people, and I actually know them personally, and I've had such incredible conversations with them, which I will never share because those are private conversations. But it wasn't just them that left, ladies and gentlemen. There were a lot of executives that were hired under them that when this new administration came in, they left. Now, did they leave on their own or were they sent packing? Listen, I have absolutely no idea, but they needless to say, they were major changes. Major changes are happening. I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus here, but if the former ideology was working for the business, you would not have seen these sweeping changes. And I will leave it at that. Change happens when current people in positions making the calls or those decisions aren't doing what they're supposed to do for the brand. The brand, again, fractured with almost beyond repair in some instances after the whole Project Latitude. A lot of people left. I'm not talking about trolls. A lot of people were in their fields and like I said, I was one of those people banging the drum. Well, I don't like it. I disagree with it, but I have to accept it. And the exclusivity is Xbox Game Pass. And on paper, that sounds great. But guess what didn't work? That ideology. The Game Pass exclusive didn't work because they stopped selling consoles. Nobody bought the consoles, man. They just didn't. And when I say that it's 8 or 9 quarters, I'm not. You folks, go back and do the work for yourself. I'm not going to do it for you. They were down in console sales. If you take the last 10 quarters, I think they were up once, and I think it was 1%. I don't remember what came out, but they were out of the last 10 quarters, they were down in console sales because people did not find a reason or Xbox didn't give people a compelling reason to buy an Xbox. Well, now they have 4. All right? Halo, Gears, Forza, Fable. That's just this year. Those are and this game that you've been watching for the last couple of days, that you're playing for the last couple of days, is a certified banger. You're supposed to use this to sell your wares. If you can't sell your wares with a game like this, then management needs to be changed. And that's exactly what happened. Judzilla, hey, what's up, dude? Long time, no time. Judzilla Music drops a very generous 10-pound super chat. It says, great discussion as always, gents. Keep up the great work. Oh, brother, that's very kind of you. Not only for the generosity, but the kind words. Eternal Shaddai, who became a channel member once again. So Eternal Shaddai, thank you for that. He drops, ladies and gentlemen, a whopping $20 super chat. It says, being a gamer first means playing games, not policing what other people enjoy. We like exclusivity. Everyone has something exclusive. Not a monotonous world. Here is a saying: the guilty one knows how the scam works. Yeah, I mean it's a good saying, and I understand. Look, again, for C Money, I don't have to speak for me. He was on here for 2 hours with me, and he spoke his piece, and that's what he believes. And even though we don't agree, I disagree with his take, but I understand it. He absolutely disagrees with my take, and I believe he understands it as well. But I just think that, where, the whole, and I can add a better one. This is a saying: where there's smoke, there's fire, right? So right now there's some smoke about Xbox Game Pass changing. You've heard Dirt talk about it. Arkeet's talked about it. He's talked about it. Jez Corden has talked about it, right? I said this yesterday on Prime Time. I don't believe Jez posts anything that is not relevant to what he is either hearing, heard, or about to talk about. I don't think it's a random poll, unless he was boxed, unless he was drunk, because sometimes he does that. He gets drunk and he puts out these crazy posts, but I don't think that was it, folks. So maybe he did hear that exclusivity is coming back. As a matter of fact, you've heard Dirt say he definitively said that exclusivity is coming back, but at the cost of what? Well, we don't know. And I actually think the takeaway day and date would be an L for Microsoft, and specifically maybe even considered a first rake step, in my humble opinion, for Asha, because you lowered the price of Game Pass, you got everybody to potentially re-up the Game Pass, you took out Call of Duty. Most people in every poll, and we saw a lot of big ones, like some of the really, really big channels do those polls with thousands of people that said, I don't care about Call of Duty. I don't even play it. I only played it last year or the year before because it was in Game Pass. But you know what? I don't care. Right? People said that. Now, I didn't say that because I'm a Call of Duty freak master, but that's here nor there. Mac22 drops an additional very generous $5 super chat. He says, King, by your metrics, Sony is losing. Microsoft Xbox is winning. SIE is worth 132 billion US. And Xbox is worth 3.58 trillion. I have to hashtag big bank beats little bank. I mean, look, I don't know this for certain. This is just my observation. Chat. During one of the big first town halls with Asha, who showed up in an Xbox hoodie? That was Satya Nadella. You know what came? You know what else came out of that the information that came out of that? He never attends these things. Now, he's usually Mr. Business Suit, right? Like, out there doing the thing. He's got his business suit on. He's CEO of Microsoft. He's doing his thing. He showed up in casual wear, man. Now, was that to kind of make his presence there softer for the people that work for Xbox and ultimately work for Microsoft? Probably. But he doesn't show up to this thing if he doesn't understand that and that's the other thing. It's not just the brand wasn't and still is broken with just the fan base. It's not that, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look, you've heard Jez Corden, Destin Legary, you've heard all of the bigs, all the two Toms, Tom Warren, Tom Henderson, they've reported on it, that the internal cogs that keep Xbox turning did not like the way the Xbox brand was being treated. They felt disrespected by this multi-plat ideology. I'm not making that shit up. Go write literally what I just said, and you're going to find an article that not only confirms it, but has from a source that they can't give a name. That happened, ladies and gentlemen. So not only were Xbox gamers disgusted, the people that actually make the business work and the cogs that turn, they were pissed too. Now, some weren't, like the guy from Halo Studios that shows up to an Xbox Halo event in a PlayStation shirt. Like, I'm gonna be honest with you, you'll never see that happen with Asha and their team. Because if it is, if that ever happens again, send that person packing. Don't sell someone else's brand if you're here representing Microsoft. I thought that was one of the most tasteless shits I've ever seen anyone do. You're there at a Halo event, and you're showing up in a PlayStation shirt, proud and loud for everyone to see. Not on my watch, kiddo. You're fired. Security, walk this man off the campus. That's what I would do. But, you can call me an asshole or whatever. That's fine. It's me, the broke boy. Drops a very generous $5 super chat. He says, breaking news from Hazardor, posted at 1:15, Destiny 2, is ending final live service up. Oh my goodness. Wow. Well, I would imagine that we're talking about this on Breakfast at Boom tomorrow. Thanks, Will. This is crazy. According to Hazardor Gaming, who is awesome, by the way, at 1:15, which is 100 years ago, based on how long this podcast has been, Destiny 2 is ending final live service update June 9th. No content updates after, and all expansions canceled. Holy shitballs, ladies and gentlemen. That's breaking news. Wow. I'm a bit speechless. Honestly, you don't very rarely get me speechless. We talked about this in the opening of what would happen to something. Like we talked about this last night, as a matter of fact, Blurring Days, that, what would happen to Nixus that they're not putting on PC? What's going to happen to Housemark? Because, Sorrow selling less than Returnal. What's going to happen to Ben Studios? They had their gas game canceled. They're working on, I think, a multiplayer God of War game that was canceled or something like that. They just had their financials. Wow. I don't know, man. Thank you for that. I'm gonna have to do some reading up. That's some crazy talk right there. The game is dead. The game is dead, ladies and gentlemen. And Sony spent $3.6 billion on Bungie. They better hope Marathon has a turnaround. That's all I'm gonna say, but we will see. Let's see. Scott Woodford drops an additional very generous $2 super chat. He says Xbox is a platform, Steam is the competition. Yeah, Steam is their competition, but they're also their partner. And I have no confidence in the Windows Store. I don't think anybody does. I don't even think Microsoft does. I mean, like Satya said it, their store sucks. He didn't say it like that. I'm saying it like that. Which is why they continue to put on Steam. But we'll see. Let's see. We have Dan the Man Cunningham dropping a very generous $5 super chat. He says Microsoft did nothing to address hardware sales. They did no Black Friday sales, no pack-in games, no added perceived value to the consumer. They have to. I mean that's it right there. They were out. They were beat out by a Kinect box that looks like this, like the original GameCube. I don't even know what the name of that thing is. It plays like Fruit Ninja. You play with your kids. That beat out the Xbox. I mean, chat. I don't want to be here much longer because I'm literally losing my voice, but. Do you know how embarrassing that is to the platform? That on Black Friday, you got outmaneuvered by a GameCube box that plays Fruit Ninja? Are you fucking kidding me? Like that should have been listen, I'm not going to say anymore. That's not good business. That I will say. Oscar Wheat drops a very generous $2 super chat. And this is a great point. You can't buy a Big Mac at a Dairy Queen. You absolutely cannot. You know, that's why exclusives matter. You got to you got to entice people to come over to your box. So JD Gamer drops a very generous pair of $5 super chats. The first one says Xbox should be moving heaven and earth to have FSR 4.1 up and running for the series consoles by GTA's 6th launch. Xbox needs Fable, Call of Duty, Gears of War, and Forza bundles. Brother, facetiously, each and every show or every other show, I always say that I'm an old man. I'm going to be 56, right? I'm super long in the tooth. I'm a boomer, right? I was born in the 70s. So honestly, a retired cop turned podcast. The fuck do I know about marketing? You know what? Some days I believe that because I don't have a piece of paper or the education to say I can make this call because I went to school for this many years. And there are other days where you hear a $200 GameCube looking Fruit Ninja box beat Xbox in Black Friday. And I say to myself, what in the is anybody at their marketing doing? Because you might want to call me a boomer, and maybe I don't know shit from Shy Mole, but I can tell you that would have cost people their jobs. And I don't never like to see anybody lose their jobs. I'm not that guy, but I mean, come on. Black Friday is where you're supposed to make your bank, and they did nothing. So, I mean, I don't know. Who's worse, the boomer or the people that are getting paid 6 figures to drink lattes in Seattle? I don't know. His second $5 super chat goes on to say, by the way, if I have to choose for everyone, I prefer day one on Game Pass. And I absolutely agree there. I agree there. With that said, I want PS gone, push them out. Take all the games, they get nothing. You know, listen, it goes back to this isn't I'm an opportunity kind of a guy, right? I as a cop, and I know it's not 1-to-1, folks, so just walk with me on this. It's like I got a couple more super chats and get everyone out of here. One of the first things that I was taught as a cop is you got to read the room. Now, most times when you get a call to someone's house, whether it be for a stolen car or a family dispute, you are walking into unknown territory. The people you're going to meet know their home. They understand the layout. They know where the things are. You don't. So if you take this shit seriously and want to sign out at the end of the tour like I did, gotta be out there and you gotta have 100 eyes. You gotta watch everyone. You gotta come in and read the room, right? I'm reading the room from a business point of view. And the one that is best positioned to win in 2026 with subs, console sales, and game sales is Xbox. They have the best hardware, they have the best service, and they have the best first-party games. That may not be blackjack because we need 2 other things, and I could figure it out, but I'm losing my voice, so I want to stop soon. They have a winning hand, ladies and gentlemen. You can call it 3 aces, 3 kings, drop it. You won. That's it. They have the winning hand. That's why they made this change in February, because they're leading up to potentially making some big, powerful moves that are going to get the industry to really be shaken up. And I am definitely here for it. Judah Roars drops a very generous $5 super chat and says, C Money isn't getting pitchforked because he has a different opinion. He's getting pitchforks because he doesn't let anyone else talk. I want to hear everyone. I mean, listen, he wasn't being disrespectful, and he never has been. I mean, I get it, Judah Rose. look, he wants to get his point across, and he had a point that got lost in his own head. Not that anything that we interrupted him. He even said it. He was getting to this big point, and it just got lost. It's a podcast. These things happen. I'm sure he's going to talk about it on his show. If you subscribe to him, check him out. If not, listen, I'm not gonna fight with anybody. I'm just saying that I personally, as the host, didn't feel he was trampling on me. I was letting him go because I wanted to hear his point. And there were a couple of times where we crossed a little bit, and even he crossed over King. He wasn't doing it to be disrespectful. Because King is, he would have said something, and King wasn't offended. But I appreciate you being here, Judah Rose, and thank you so much for the generosity. And the last super chat, and my voice is nearly gone, folks. Goes on to say, this comes the way of a $5 super chat from It's Me, the Broke Boy, generous friend of the program. Says SteamDB shows 3 approximate estimates for Forza Horizon 6 sales. Number average is about 1 to 2 million for that platform. Forza Horizon 6 is reporting 6 million players so far. Yeah, I mean, you're going to see those numbers spike, and we saw something similar to that with Forza Horizon 5. You remember, we kept every week it was just another 2 million, 3 million, to the point where Forza Horizon 5, I don't know how much past 50 million. They've surpassed 50 million players. Now, that doesn't equate to sales, right? But there's DLC to buy. That you can buy the vouchers, which I suggest doing, because you can get $2 million cars for the one voucher. I bought the 24 pack, which is $20. I buy DLC, folks. I'm not a whale. I'm not going to buy any more, but I like their cars in the auction houses, but I don't like spending my winnings. I'll use a voucher. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, a big thank you to well over 600 people here. I'm out of gas. I'm out of gas because I don't do 3-hour podcasts anymore because, well, I'm an old man and I really wanted to play Forza and now I can't. But it's fine because I was here with you fine folks. This was I'm going to try to take both segments over the weekend, because there's not going to be a show on Monday because it's Memorial Day and Mrs. Boom is off, and my panel is just going to hang out with their family. So we're not going to go live. I'm going to have a couple of videos ready to go. And I'm going to try and make it into a digestible video without having to cut too much out. So I just want to say a big thank you to everyone that's still hung around. You know what? Just for shits and giggles, let me look at the poll. Okay, so the poll, see, again, I'm small potatoes. 166 votes, big deal. 54% want exclusives, 46% want day one on Game Pass. It's close, man. It's a close thing. But see, I want to just reiterate it. I actually think that of any one of the big three, when it comes to finances and how they're going to moving forward, I really believe Xbox and their new leadership are in a position to not only keep things as they are, but return exclusivity back to the platform, bring relevance back to its hardware, and they can do that because they have the first-party games and they have a roadmap. And you're not going to get people to buy a potential $1,000 console next year if you don't show confidence in your current hardware. If you can't sell this hardware now, then you're doing it wrong. And former leadership just there were a lot of variables, and they had the deck stacked against them, and that's why they failed, because the higher ups made it that way. I don't blame Phil and I don't blame Sarah at all. They worked with what they had, and ultimately it did not work. But ladies and gentlemen, that's going to do it for us here. A big thank you to all of the super chats, channel member chats, and gifted subs. I want to thank you for hanging out with me for damn near 3 hours. Of course, I want to thank King David and C Money for being here. C Money's here with me every Thursday. King shows up whenever he can. This was a very, very passionate and pointed conversation. We're all friends. We're all brothers. We're all going to hang out in a couple of weeks in LA. I hope you enjoyed the podcast enough to potentially hit the thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, Mrs. Boom and I are 97 subs away from 17K. And you can help us get there by simply subbing the channel. Mrs. Boom and I would honestly be very grateful for that. And of course, I'm going to close the show with something that's incredibly important to me, folks. Hopefully one day will be important to you. And that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. He'd say, Greg, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. You live by those rules, son. I can guarantee you, you're going to have an awesome day. So take care, everyone. And we'll see you next week on the newest episode of X Vlog Live.